Michael Afake Delali is the site manager here. He takes us through when the Kintampo waterfall was first discovered as well as its source.
Kintampo waterfall is one of the major tourist attractions in Ghana. It was discovered in the 18th century by Nana Trema, and through hunting he found out that this is the wonderful thing that God has given to Kintampo. So over the years, from the 18th century till now, it has been a major force of attraction that many people come from far and near, from the north, from the south, just to witness the waterfall. The waterfall is in 3 stages. There is stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3.
7 years down the lane, how that particular incident has impacted this particular tourist site. Has it been positive or has it been negative?
I think post the disaster, it really helped the place. That is what brought some of the major places to come and look at the site. And I think the rehabilitation and the redevelopment, I think that brought the new stairs and a couple of structures and also made the administration a very functional administration.
In terms of visitations, Michael tells me there's been a massive improvement with the facility recording up to 26,000 visitations in the year 2023 compared to a figure of 22,000 in the year 2022.
Every year we do the annual statistics collation. So last year we were over 26,000 people visited the site. I think we did 22,000 the previous year, and last year we did 26,000.
With the 2017 disaster still fresh in the minds of many revelers, what are some of the major security measures taken by management to curb similar future disasters?
And also with the security agencies, normally when it's an occasion, they don't forget to come. I think if you were here for some of the festive season, you find out that when the fire service come, they conduct the canopy walkway. When the fire service come, they conduct the canopy walkway. The police also at the gate inspecting, and the immigration people also checking around. So I think and the ambulance is always packed at the entrance. So I think all these people, they come on board, and when they are in, I would say that it just tells us that we are actually prioritizing the lives of the revelers and not just the money.
The major challenge facing the smooth running of the facility today is the issue of bush fires around the green zone of the waterfalls. Michael tells me more needs to be done to help address this worrying menace.
Since people farm along or close to the site, in a way of control burning, the fire gets into our yard. And most of the times, they're able to burn the green around. They don't touch the major facilities, but the green, which is very important. So that is a major problem that we face.
As we mark the Heritage Month, Joseph Apiaje tells me that the region and the country at large has to celebrate the Kintampo waterfall as a treasure and admonish others to visit the area.
We have to celebrate it because this is the treasure that we have as the people of Kintampo, people of Bono East, and Ghana at large. So even as we celebrate the Heritage Month, this is our heritage, which ought to be properly preserved for the future generation to also come to benefit from it.
Well, the 2017 disaster might have caused a lot of havoc due to the lives lost, but it has turned out to be a blessing in disguise with an increase in visitations year in, year out.
From the Kintampo waterfalls, for Joy News, my name is Anna Sadiq, reporting.
It's Friday. Welcome aboard the AM show with yours truly and, of course, Sweetie Abochi. It's been an exhausting week. It's been a draining week. Maybe you can even hear it from my voice. But hey, here we are, serving you as always because we love you and we know you love us too. Right before I get into what you can expect today, part of why I am decked in the colors I am today. Yes, we're mourning, in a way, the black and the pink or red, Dr. John Kuma of blessed memory, now confirmed, former Deputy Finance Minister, or Deputy Finance Minister until he met his demise on the back of illness, as we are told. Which is why this morning, I am serving you my proverb for the day. Sweetie will serve you hers later, hopefully. But I'm serving you this Akan proverb. Owu atwedie baako mforo. Owu atwedie baako mforo. In literal terms, the ladder of death, not only one man climbs. It's not only one man that climbs the ladder of death. And I say this because, guess what? There may be some who may be gloating now that, oh yeah, he was our enemy and he's gone. Maybe. But for death, who will not climb that ladder? All of us will. I will at some point. No one wants to go too early, but the time prescribed for you, you will go at that time. Everyone I'm seeing here in the studio, the camera people, production, direction, sound, lighting, we will all go at some point. It's also a reminder when a soldier falls that you who remain in line, someday you too will have to give account for your life. So I ask, if you went today, what account would you give to your maker? He is gone. Wanyane baby ko. Now one swear, men swear. So that's my proverb for you this morning. Uwachedie bakomfro. And on that note, let me now let you know what to expect right after the news. For the news review, former NUC's president Dennis Labiampofo is our guest. He's also a member of the MPP's Election 2024 Manifesto Committee. He'll join us for a conversation. And then in AM Sports, we'll have, as always, Muftar Nabila Abdullahi serving you hot water on that segment. And then we get into our blunt thoughts with yours truly. Today, I'll be talking about two things, sports and the LGBTQ bill. So I've titled it, When Sporting Budgets Make No Sense and a Bill Degenerates into a Circus. My take. That's what I'm going to be serving you this morning. And then we get into our big stories. Now, it's John and Jane again. Former President John Dramani Mahama has settled on Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as his running mate for the second time running. Mr. Mahama presented his choice of running mate to the National Democratic Congress's National Executive Committee on Thursday. We'll be analyzing this choice on the show later on. But also coming up, of course, we're celebrating women. Today is International Women's Day, and the theme is Inspire Inclusion. Inclusion. How do we do that here in Ghana? How have we fared? How are we faring? How do we hope to fare and make things better? Join us with your thoughts on all of that as well. And then we'll tell you about changing the African narrative. Now, connoisseurs say a fresh African narrative is beginning to emerge. Earlier discussions about Africa existed in the shadow of out-of-date stereotypes. Well, the story is different now as we see a certain picture of a continent that is swiftly on the ascendancy, on the rise. We'll hear more from Nicolas Pompigne Mognard, founder and chairman of APO Group, the leading Pan-African communications consultancy and press release distribution service. He joins us for breakfast today. We have all of this lined up for you, as well as keeping our tabs on Big Chef. Oh yeah, let's get cooking. It's that kids cooking reality show. It returns with another highly anticipated season. Now, this is the show where children showcase their culinary skills, and you will be amazed at the recipes they create. You want to stay for that? Let us walk you through what you can expect. Of course, we'd love to hear from you as well. So stay with us, stay tuned. Let's do this for God and country. Up next, the news. In a world where digital threats loom large, it's time to unite for a common cause. Don't miss this opportunity to be part of the solution with the Joy News Youth-Braid Foundation National Dialogue on Cybersecurity. It's on Tuesday, the 12th of March 2024 at the EcoBank Head Office Auditorium, Accra at 9 a.m. prompt. Catch the dialogue live on Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and on all our social media handles. It's an exclusive opportunity to contribute to a safer digital future for all. The distinguished panel includes the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Mpibuesiako, CEO, Hydra Cybersecurity, Kwame Odro Numapao, Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, CEO of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Mrs. Kwasi Nchua Yankiaye, CEO of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefua, and the Head of IT at the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Jacob Tete Akono. It will be hosted by Benjamin Akapo of Joy News. It's more than just a dialogue, it's a call to action. Let's come together to address one of today's most urgent digital challenges. Join us as we explore strategies to fortify protocols, safeguard citizens' vulnerabilities, and support governmental initiatives such as the National Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038.
What other technology do you know that transports people and items from place to place?
AI is changing the world.
But before we go to the shelves, I've seen this and this. Can you quickly run me through what these things are for?
Welcome to Passion for Tech with me, Mamiaba Amwaminta.
So I have a battery, 80% battery right now.
The higher the viscosity index, the thicker the oil, and the lower the viscosity.
Take a look at tomorrow's Tech TV on TV.
Tech TV is proudly brought to you by Liqui Moly, your #1 car products.
Welcome to the News Belt on the show. Now, in our first story, more than 3,000 school children in the Binduri district of the Upper East region do not have desks to sit on for academic work. This is according to the district chief executive, Ayenga Abagre Yakubu, who is calling on government and corporate organizations to help. He was speaking to Joy News after the National Petroleum Authority presented 500 dual desks to the district assembly to be distributed to some basic schools in the area. Correspondent Albert Sori now reports.
The Binduri district of the Upper East region is one of the new districts created in the year 2012. Before then, it was part of the Boko municipality. As a growing district still trying to get all its structures in place, the education sector here is lagging behind the older districts of the region. Many of the basic schools here lack furniture, and the school children have to either sit on the bare classroom floors or improvise in some other ways to sit for lessons. According to the district chief executive, Ayenga Abagre Yakubu, the furniture deficit in basic schools in the Binduri district is about 3,400.
From the GS last year, beginning of last year, a director actually gave me, and the number was about 3,400 or so. And as we are procuring, then we still have the needs. It is increasing because as we have just procured this like this, you go and because of one single nail, they will abandon that desk. So when you go to the school, some of the schools you see, especially the metal ones, you see the guests because of a screw, they will get packed somewhere.
The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has donated 500 dual desks to the Member of Parliament for the Binduri constituency, Abdullahi Abanga, who has in turn presented the furniture to the District Assembly to help reduce the furniture deficit in the schools. The MPA made the donation in response to a request the MP made to them for support. Alice Atubiga presented the furniture to the District Assembly on behalf of the MP.
Petroleum Authority has done a great job for us because we have issues and we always run to them for support, and they are always willing to support us. We want to say a big thank you to them on behalf of my District Chief Executive and my MP, Honorable Abanga Abdullahi. I've also seen pictures of dilapidated schools in the constituency, so I would like to encourage benevolent organizations who are interested in education to also come and renovate such schools for us. All these things motivate the children, and the environment they learn in. All these things will encourage them and motivate them to learn better.
Some of the school children were excited to finally have furniture for their classrooms.
When we come to class, we lie on the floor. We don't feel comfortable. But now that this furniture has come, it will help us in our studies. We thank National Petroleum Authority for this furniture for us to sit on.
District Chief Executive said the dual desks will be distributed to 3 schools that are in dire need of them. He, however, appealed for more donations of furniture to cater to many more school children in the district. For Joy News, Albert Sori, Binduri.
Well, in our next story, management of the Hohoe Evangelical Presbyterian Senior High School has lamented the continuous encroachment on school lands. Headmaster Franklin Amesimeku indicated, irrespective of a court injunction on the development of the land, some acres of the school land have been sold illegally and are being developed. Speaking to Joy News, he called on the relevant authorities to step in to stop the sale and encroachment on the school's lands.
The Hohoe Evangelical Presbyterian Senior High School was established in 1961 on 225 acres of land provided by 7 amalgamated families in the B traditional area in the Hohoe municipality. Checks by Joy News revealed that 600 cedis, a live from 6 bottles of schnapps and a pot of palm wine were provided to signify the formal acquisition of the land in 1969. Franklin Amesimeku is the headmaster of HEBS.
The first one is Fodome Chevi family of Trevi B. Hohoe. The second family is Brahini family of Trevi B. Hohoe. We have a Samani family of Tokoni B. Hohoe. Then we also have a Valime family of Chevi B. Hohoe. Then the 5th family who also donated land to the school is the Ku family of Tokoni B. Hohoe. We have Nugbe family of Chevi Trevi B. Hohoe. Then lastly, we have Afeke family of Ahado B. Hohoe, headed by Mr. Joseph Kofi Afeke. So these were the families that are documented to have donated the land on which the school was established.
There were no disagreements until about 2 decades ago when some individuals claimed ownership of undeveloped parcels of land in the southeastern part of the school land. This led to a legal tussle with the Hohoe High Court subsequently laying an injunction on the development of the conflicted land.
In fact, we've been having a challenge with our school land for close to 20 years now. The case is in court and an injunction is placed on the land.
However, there's an indication of continuous illegal sales and development of the conflicted land. Several boundary pillars have been erected with buildings at various stages of completion on the land. This comes as a surprise to the school authorities who had relied on the court to enforce the injunction until the case is brought to a closure.
We are aware that the people selling the land to those who are putting up the structure on them are the very people who send the matter to court. So if the case progresses, then they will come with an intervention that they want to withdraw the case for the chiefs to settle. And that buffer space that they will create between taking the case from the court to the chiefs to settle, that is when they have been selling the land. So the very people who send this matter to court are the very people who are selling the land. So as a school, we are appealing to the old students, to the chiefs and people of the traditional area to come to the aid of the school so that we can protect our school land for our future development.
The teaching body fears the school may lose a substantial quantity of its land if authorities sit aloof, allowing people to continue to sell off the lands. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Hohoe.
And our next story now, as the world makes tireless efforts to ensure healthy lives and promote the well-being of people of all ages, a leading palm oil production company in Ghana, Benso Oil Palm Plantation, is working towards ensuring communities in its catchment areas have access to quality healthcare. The latest is the construction of a CHIPS compound and nurses' quarters for 2 of its host communities. Samuel Kojobrace has the rest of the story.
For years, several communities in the Benso enclave have been without adequate health facilities, affecting the delivery of quality health care. But today, communities like K3 and K9 in the area have all heaved a sigh of relief due to the intervention of the Benso Oil Palm Plantation Bob. The company has handed a fully furnished CHIPS compound with a nurse's flat at a cost of 500,000 Ghana cedis to the K3 community. The chief of K3, Nanayao Enchibosiako II, says this facility is a timely intervention by Bob.
Because we'll be
accessing healthcare was difficult for us, such that when someone fell ill, how to get him or her to the hospital was a big problem for us. We did something small as a community, but that was not enough. So we appealed to Bob and they have come to our aid with this. This will really help health delivery here in this community. In the K9 community, Bob handed over a completed two-bedroom flat for use by the nurses at the CHIPS compound there. The health director for the Mpoho district, Dr. Nanamre Kujima, says these interventions by Bob means a lot to health delivery in the area.
You know, both these communities, K3 and K9, are deprived communities and hard to reach. So not having any decent healthcare facility to take care of the members around has been a bother. We've had other facilities which are even quite far away come and do outreach centers here, outreach points here. What this means is that we use the same workers from elsewhere. They come and just find a temporary place and see those that they can see. So having a healthcare center, a proper one built like this, even with facilities, accommodation facilities for the workers, is superb, and we are most grateful.
The DC of the area, Ignatius Asa Mensa, says Bob has been a wonderful corporate citizen to the Mpoho district.
For Bob, they have been very, very supportive since I became the district chief executive. In fact, in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of road networks, there are most bad roads in my district here. And whenever I fall on them, most especially in rainy seasons, they try to mobilize machines to come and assist. There was even a time that the road was such that children who are going to school had a difficulty crossing from the other end to the other. But Bob, when I fell on them, they intervened and helped me to let the road become passable.
The general manager of Benso Oil Palm Plantation, Samuel Avala, says the company undertakes these initiatives as their way of contributing to the development of the catchment areas.
I mean, corporate governance requires that every company, you give back to society under what we call corporate social responsibility. And we are a good corporate citizen. And so this is a normal thing that a good corporate citizen should do. And so are we.
The relationship between Bob and the communities around is one many describe as enviable because of how the company has been responsive to the needs of the communities over the years. According to Bob, there is more in the pipeline for these communities. From Benso for Joy News, Samuel Kojo Brace.
Now, the president of the Progressive Students Network, Godwin Bakobwafo, is challenging political parties to commit to a national agenda. He says the culture of successive governments abandoning projects initiated by previous governments is one of the banes of Ghana's development. He made the remarks after training leaders from selected second cycle and tertiary institutions in the OT region. Peter Senu has more.
The leadership seminar saw over 500 core prefects drawn from 10 second cycle and tertiary institutions from the OT region. It is to hone the leadership potentials of these leaders to become competent leaders and with integrity. Reverend Apiaje schooled the leaders on the various personality traits and how their personalities could affect their leadership qualities.
If you are told that you stole the thing, or we saw you holding it, how you react will determine your temperament. So if we choose 4 of us or 5 of us, you realize that somebody, he didn't steal it, but it has been said you stole it, and he is quiet. And another person, it has been said you stole it, and then he flares up. Hey, who told you I stole it? And another person will be like, are you sure you saw me holding this thing? Another person will react in another way. So all these reactions is what determines your temperament.
Some participants have been sharing their experiences.
I think it's going to help me a lot because they talked a lot about leadership, and I'm in SHS2 and I would like to be the girls perfect. So they talk about a lot of things that are going to help you being a leader. Is that everything falls and rides on leadership.
Today's seminar has taught me a lot. So as a student leader, I learned to be committed, I learned to be hardworking, I learned to be selfless, I learned to sacrifice for my people. So today, as I return back to my people, I know that I'm going to do all these things, because in implementing all these things, I'll be able to get effective leadership by the end of the academic year.
The president and founder of Progressive Students Network, Evangelist Godwin Bakobwafo, tells us the motive behind the initiative.
The reason why I felt motivated to put together core student prefects at this age to begin to give them understanding about what leadership is about is because when we were young and were in school, we didn't have any organization trying to identify leadership potentials, help them to develop it, create an environment for them to experience what leadership is about and performance oriented, and then also helping them to deploy their leadership skills. I believe that if we had this particular environment created for us when we were in school, probably our leadership exploits wouldn't have been what it is now.
He's calling on political parties to rally behind a national agenda rather than a party agenda.
For me, I think that as a country, our leaders and our politicians should come to a certain consensus to know exactly what Ghana needs. One of the things that really break my heart is when a country is a party is in power, initiate projects, and then when the party is out of power, another party comes. Instead of probably continuing that project, they abandon it and then they initiate other projects. And these things are not like party issues; they are national issues. If you look at how much Ghana has lost, right from Nkrumah's time, probably up to this present government, the abandoning projects. If you quantify that project in monetary terms, I think it would have projected Ghana seriously into a certain level of prosperity that all of us will be proud of today. So for me, I think that we should begin to have a discourse of having a national agenda rather than a party agenda.
Peter Sanu for Joy News.
Now, Honda Manufacturing Ghana Limited, a Honda subsidiary in Ghana, has launched its Honda HR-V automobile production in Ghana. The vehicle assembling plant in Ghana is the second Honda automobile production plant in Africa, following a plant in Nigeria. Now, launching the commencement of production, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochribefi, charged the company to come out with competitive prices that would sustain their business. There's more in this report.
Commissioning of the assembling plant in Tema makes it the 12th automobile assembling plant in Ghana. Inaugurating the production of the first Honda vehicle in Ghana, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochribefi, underscored the tremendous growth of the automobile industry in Ghana. He says this has become possible due to the Ghana's automobile development policy introduced few years ago by government. He charged automobile plants that are assembling in Ghana to maintain competitive prices so their product could be afforded by the Ghanaian.
Permit me to also recognize the fact that government is so much happy with the work vehicle assemblers are doing in this country. And it will interest you to note that the vehicle that is yet to be commissioned, today or inaugurated, is going to be the 12th vehicle to be assembled in Ghana. The government is working with some financial institutions to be able to develop a plan. We're almost through, vehicle financing policy to enable a lot of the middle class and people in the country to be able to afford vehicles without any problem. I also want to charge Honda that you have other players in the market already. So far, companies that are working, directly in the area of vehicle assembly, some of them working directly with the OEMs through partnership arrangement and dealerships, and the OEMs are even doing business directly in Ghana. Make sure you also work hard to be able to come out with prices that will be very attractive to the market. That is the only way you'll be able to survive in the market.
The head of regional for Europe, Africa and Middle East, Kachuhisa Okuda, says the company is hoping to penetrate the African market with very good product and remain competitive.
We are very pleased that our second Honda automobile factory in Africa now operation. The Ghanaian government's ambition to encourage a new investment in local production as a route to renewed growth and a more balanced economy will help Honda to expand sales of the HR-V, providing joy to even more customers in Western Africa. Although production volume is small at the beginning, we are very proud to have established our local subsidiary and began production on our own. In Ghana, where the population is increasing, we will provide as many as customers as possible with the joy, food, and the freedom of mobility, and the joy of making changes that make their lives more enjoyable.
The managing director of Honda Manufacturing Ghana Limited, Takashi Kajima, indicated that the company is committed to the changing demands of the Ghanaian society based on the Honda philosophy, the joy of buying, the joy of selling, and the joy of creating.
By assembling HR-V here in Ghana, by Ghanaians for the Ghanaian customers, this compact SUV delivers trademark versatility, safety, and comfort alongside class-leading dynamic driving performance. The line will produce one of the most popular models in a lineup, and by assembling locally Honda can serve customers more efficiently with speed. But before the proud owners take delivery of their new cars, the HLV goes through meticulous global standard inspection, covering 700 items on every vehicle, taking an average of 4 hours per unit. Similar quality check is also applied in the Thailand factory before the components are shipped to Ghana.
The company says it is leveraging the experience and know-how amassed through automobile production in Nigeria as it begins producing automobiles locally for customers in Ghana.
Well, on our final story, the Goldfields Ghana Foundation has signed a memorandum of understanding with World Vision Ghana to support the provision of easy access to potable drinking water for the people of Damang in the Western region. The Goldfields Foundation, which is the first mining sector foundation that invests in education, access to water and sanitation, health and environment, has so far invested over $100 million in the mine host communities like Damang and Takwa. This memorandum of understanding between Goldfields Foundation is expected to improve the living conditions of the people of Damang and the catchment area of the mine. Here's Cordial Opari's report, read to you.
The people of Damang have been struggling with access to safe water. The memorandum of understanding between World Vision Ghana and Goldfields Ghana Foundation seeks to address the crucial issue of water access and sustainability in the community. Abdel Razak Yakubu, the Executive Secretary of Goldfields Ghana, said the investments being made through the partnership with World Vision will go a long way to resolve the water and hygiene problems within the Prestia Huni Valley municipality.
Goldfields Ghana Foundation has a specific scope. We only support projects in the host communities of the mining company. Every now and then we extend support to projects that are of national importance. But when it comes to specific projects such as this, the water provision, our intention is to start from Damang, where the water challenge is a bit acute. And if you are able to deal with that, extend it to other communities in the catchment of Goldfields. So you can talk of places such as Awudria, the traditional capital of the Takwa area. You can talk about New Atuambo, Brahabebom. These are all communities around several kilometers away from the mine that we want to, they all should feel the impacts of the company, the positive impacts of the company on their land. Yeah.
The Achimpenhene of Wasadaman, Nana Ampesi Benemreku I, thanked the partners for the commitment they have demonstrated to improving the situation in the communities and gave the assurance that the project would be properly managed.
For the two entities to come together to try and see how they can address the question of water in that area is very pleasing, and myself and the people of Damang are very grateful for that. This is an MoU that has just been signed. So they say the sweetness of the pudding lies in the eating. I think what we'll be waiting for is to see the real action of water flowing and for people drinking and for us seeing smiles in the faces of the people of Damang. So it is important that working with government, the local government, the chiefs and people of Damang, we should be able to have a way of sustaining. We should be able to have a kind of sustainability plan once this thing. In fact, we need to have it before it is started.
Programs Manager for World Vision, Robel Wamisht, said the partnership between World Vision Ghana and Goldfields Foundation is a testament to the commitment of both organizations to improving the lives of the people in Damang.
This partnership will benefit the Damang and even other communities in such a way that we are bringing safe water to the targeted communities, and we are also strengthening the aspect of governance sustainability and then management of water supply systems.
With access to safe water and improved water supply management, the residents of Damang can look forward to a healthier and more sustainable future. Cordial Oparis report, read to you.
Well, that's the note on which we cap off the news. But stay with us. The news review is up next. I'm joined by former NUC's President Dennis Labi Ampofo. He is my guest. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the newspaper review. But before we do that, as always, it's brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And here's what they're offering you. If you're a man, especially if you've hit 40 and above, what is the state of your prostate? Do you know? If you're a woman and you've never checked out your fertility, your status in that context to know what is happening, well, this should be good news for you because they're offering you screening in both areas gratis for free. Right? All you need to do, head to any of the branches of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and I'll walk you through a list of them. If you're here in Accra, head to Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. That's where you will find them. If you are in Kumasi in the Ashanti region, Kronomabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. Then there's Takrade and Naji Estates. There's Tema, Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa, and there's Siama Inzama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the newspaper review. We're going all the way till the, 7:20 thereabouts before we cede to sports. But joining me for a discussion this morning, he's sending a lot of messages. I don't know whether he's having a text message interaction with Jesus. Former NUC's President Dennis Labi Ampofo is my guest. He also is a member of the MPP's Election 2024 Manifesto Committee. Good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Thank you for joining.
It's been a while.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Right. And I want to suppose you are in black, for the same reason I am in black and shades of red or pink on the back of the demise of Dr. John Kuma. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Anope yawo Ghana month mu inti no me hyehyɛ so no show no me de hyɛ ase no bibu baby na ebere ne sɛ owa atwede ba komfro inti no obi wum anase obi free mu ense sɛ ye obi enije obi enwu nipa ne papa o bone o ye nyina ye okwan bi kɔ ye wakwan tuotu inti no that's the little bit. But what would be your fond memories of Dr. John Kuma? Did you know him personally?
So I was telling a call right before I go on set. He was at the office on Monday.
When you say office, what do you mean? His office?
Campaign office on Monday. He came by. I had a briefing I was supposed to give him. But he was busy and I was also busy, so I deferred it to next week. I said to myself that, Chief, I will talk to you next week. I'll explain it to you next week. I don't know if the next week is going to come. I don't know if he's going to. Yesterday, when I heard it, I was one of the people who had purposed in my head that I'm not going to believe it. But up around...
It was too shocking for you?
Yeah, up around 2 p.m., the indications were that Senior Kuma was gone. I don't know if I can recount my personal memories of him because there are still a lot of things that we are working on or a lot of engagements I have with him that I am going to struggle to describe how it's going to pan out. So just like a lot of young people from his constituency, from our party, from the country at large, Senior Kuma was a national person. He's not just a party person. He's someone who endeared to both people of the eye. Yesterday, almost every parliamentarian I met had a personal thing working out with Senior Kuma. So at this point, it's unfortunate. I'm struggling to find my words, especially on Senior Kuma at this point. Yeah, but Senior, rest easy. Rest easy, Senior.
And I had a few interactions with him. he was always someone that, I mean, you would push to the wall, all right, and I do that a lot. But he would. And I see you are getting pretty emotional. Well, but he would still, find a nice way of. There are some people you speak to and they are unnecessarily aggressive, mindlessly aggressive over nothing, even when they don't have a point. Dr. John Kuma wasn't that type, but he would still make his point.
He's a calm person.
And it's really sad that this has happened. I interacted with someone yesterday who told me that there were people in Ejiso, his constituency, weeping, literally. In the last primary, he literally swept the floor with his contenders, which tells you about how popular he was among the MPP members. But there are people, too, that he was helping in education. Someone tells me he was paying the school fees of some of these people, at least about 5 people she knew, and that now these people were in tears because after that's
the most painful part. People who work directly for him. He's an entrepreneur. People who work directly for him, people who depended on him so much, and that's where it hurts so much. For some of us who are working on projects and stuff with him, I mean, if we could just fold our project document and then keep quiet. But more painful is the people who depended on him for their livelihood. I know a couple of people who went to him every year for their school fees. So now I'm asking myself, who's going to take care of them? But as the accounts will say, who cry adia into me. So we leave that to God.
Yeah,
the more we talk about it, the more it gets more painful.
I know. It really took me, I was driving through town when we broke the news. I heard it and I parked. Because in this whole thing that we do, as the fourth estate, we try to hold to account the 3 arms of government and all of that. So you definitely get to deal with these people from time to time. And then it just struck me, it was like some sort of deja vu. Interactions with him and everything, and you ask yourself, wow.
As I'm saying, just Monday, bro. Monday, he was at the office.
That's how it is.
Monday, he came for a meeting in the office. I went to the car, greeted him and told him that, sir, next week, I'll brief you. Because a lot of people have swarmed him as usual. So I just greeted and told him, I said, next week, I'll brief you.
But we've also heard of health struggles that he'd had. What do you know?
I had, as much as I can, try to refrain from.
Don't not specifics. But was he ill, from what we gather?
I had heard some, like every other person had heard, but I can't confirm because he had never mentioned any of such to myself. But right after or prior, we had heard a lot of the fact that he wasn't looking very well and he wasn't very well. And afterwards, we've heard so much in the media. I had hoped that with all the guesses and wild guesses that's going on around us, if it is possible for many of us to refrain from taking some of these wild guesses, at least for the sake of friends and family, we try as much as we can. Like you mentioned, where we come from, when people die, we try as much as we can to give them a good memory, help the families assuage their pain and friends and families around these times. So as much as I would hope that the guesses and the wild thoughts out there in the media can be held on to, at least for the sake. You can imagine what Apostle Lillian is going through at this point in time. I saw the video of the moms weeping yesterday and it was devastating. It broke me to the core. Everybody's there. People cry and all of that, but you could see a mother in pain on the floor crying.
That thing is not. My mom, in reacting to, of course, my father passed when I was only 6, but our eldest brother, 3 boys, was only 34 when he passed. And I know what it's like for a mother to have a son die and to have to look at him and say bye-bye. It's I think it's one of the things no parent, and no matter how much of an enemy you may consider anybody, you wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No. Not especially for someone like Kuma.
I think I have a fair idea of what it would mean to his.
Look at the prospects. I mean, at 45, he was a lawyer.
This was even someone that some had said could become running mate to Dr. Bawumia.
He has so much prospect. Dr. Bawumia himself became running mate at age 44. So it is not wrong for anybody to want to predict that John Kuma too can become running mate. He's a lawyer in good standing. He's an economist. He's so sharp. Academically, he was overall best student during his MBA. He's a doctor. This is someone who has so much prospect. He's affable. I mean, for those of us who had our senior high school in Ashanti region, he's the first regional president for Ashanti Regional Student Representative Council. I share a common APEC route with him, an association of past executives and coordinators, where every time we had functions, programs, he would go into his pocket, give us donations to support the association's activities. Everyone who grew up in Ashanti region, especially after the 2000s, would say that he was a beacon to look up to. He's the first regional president of the ARSRC. So for young people who looked up to him, and at 45, the things he had done for himself.
Nyame the crane see it. Nyame the crane see it. No mano. Asumge. Nyame the crane see it. May God grant him peace in his own bosom. Dr. John Kuma, rest in peace. I couldn't have started in any other way. I'm sorry I've not got into the papers yet, but I mean, on a day like this, you would give some leeway to celebrate the man. And in a way, it also reminds me of another person I really, really, really respected, and I talk about him every now and then. How come his name just escapes me? He's a former finance minister, Kwejoba Redu.
Yeah.
He had served in different ministries.
That's
Kwejoba Redu. I mean, I don't know, but God be with him. Right before we get into the papers, though, I just want to confirm. Nowadays, you hear of, oh, this person is a part of Dr. Bawumia's this committee or that committee. Then the person comes out to say, me, I've not got any message. I've not got any letter. I've not been appointed to anything. The latest of which is Kwame Pienim, economist, one of the elders of the NPP. Just to confirm, are you a member of the NPP's manifesto committee? Just give me a straight answer.
Yes, please. I serve on the education subcommittee.
Education. Okay, so you were approached and you said yes.
I'd gladly say yes anytime.
I mean, you were approached and you said yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, just to start it off from there. Which brings me to my next question, right before we get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. What is it about nowadays, you and the tertiary institutions, and politics? It's Tain or Tescon. And some would say, until now we're Nook's president, not politics, no, Kosovo. What is it? What is that penchant for politics? Is it now starting or has it always been there?
Oh, I think that the conversation, I have likened the students' unions or tertiary institutions to an academy, a football academy, where main teams go to pick or go to scout their top talent. It's the same thing. It's not just with politics, but industry too. So you have political parties overlooking student unions, tertiary institutions, looking at the potentials they can scout and then grab them.
Do you think that's right? Do you think that's not too early to start roping in people and maybe indoctrinating them?
I think that it is a matter of preference and choices. For young people coming up, there are people who want to go into writing, there are people who want to go into art. So if you have people who want to go into art, definitely the likes of Uncle Ato and then our very famed writers could be poaching them from there. And that is not wrong, right? We could have bankers also go to our institutions to do scouting, right? That's not wrong, right? We have football teams going into our schools.
This is politics. That's work. This is politics.
I'm building a point.
Right.
We could go into our colleges to pick sportsmen and women. It's purely a matter of interest. There are young people who have interest in volunteering. There are young people who have interest in community mobilization. Elsewhere it happens, there are people who volunteer for community mobilization.
Okay, hold it right there. I just want to go for the jugular. Were you a member of the MPP while in school, while serving as vice president?
Yeah, I've always been an MPP member from back in my first degree in the University of Cape Coast.
Okay. Known?
Yes.
Publicly known?
Yes.
All right.
The difference here has always been that when we have the opportunity of serving our constituents, which is a which is not a partisan constituency. We hold it in high esteem to find a way to delineate or decouple our job. And you've hosted me here where I've hit at the government when I was NUGS president just a few months ago. So many times I came at the government with positions I believed was not right and was not in favor of my constituents. And that is what we hold as our responsibility as people who serve our nation, that we discharge our duty wherever we find ourselves without fear or favor.
All right, thank you. Let's get into the papers now. I have the Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times, and the Daily Statesman. What do you have?
I have the Daily Guide and the New Finder.
All right. Yep. So let me start. We're going to do this very quickly. In about 15 minutes, we should be wrapping. 2024 elections, guarantor system back, indelible ink remains. And NDC confirms Professor Opoku-Agyeman as running mate. DBG partners to invest 1 billion Ghana cedis in women-led businesses. John Kuma passes on. Africa needs more museums, Kojoyanka says so. And 13th African Games set to kick off in spectacular opening ceremony today at that stadium, which I'll be talking to you about. The cost of some things in this country and sports, but you look forward to my blunt thoughts. We go show them some small, I don't know if you say, small, something small. But let's get into that. So the Electoral Commission will now use the guarantor system as part of the voter registration process after abandoning the attempt to introduce a new constitutional instrument for the December 7, 2024 elections. This means that the Ghana card will not be the only document for establishing the eligibility of prospective voters who qualify to be captured in the poll book. Furthermore, indelible ink will remain in the mix of systems for identifying persons who have voted during the election. So, two crucial matters here. When we spoke to Dr. Bosman Asari, when we were launching our election HQ, he made mention of the fact that indelible ink, for the sake of, even if for cosmetic effect, will still be maintained, and December 7 will be maintained. Now, there's more good news because the eligibility of prospective voters will not only be determined if you have the Ghana card. So those are some major developments. Let me go to page 16 and 17, and then you come in with your reflections. So, the founder of the Pan-African Heritage Museum, Mr. Kojoyanka, has underscored the need for Africans to put up more museums to remember their past and preserve their cultural heritage. Now, he lamented that out of about 55,000 museums spread across the world, the whole of Africa could only boast of about 900. Whole of Africa. While the United States of America alone had about 35,000, with about 15,000 in Europe. He says, it becomes evident from the figures I have shared with you that Africa needs more museums. The reason is very simple. If we want to keep our story, if we want to preserve and save our history, we must find a place to keep them, and that's in the museum, he said. And I have lamented, for example, at least we've done well with the Kwame Nkrumah Museum. They don't call it mausoleum anywhere. Is it Memorial Park? Yeah. Right? I love what we've done with it. There's this place up north that he used to spend his time when he was resting. That place could have been. You see, all of these, when you get them right, you go abroad, it's a museum. It's generating millions of whatever, dollars and other things. And we are here sitting on gold mines. There are so many of such. Then finally, NDC confirms Professor Opoku-Agyeman as running mate. In settling on Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as running mate for the December 7 presidential election, former President John Dramani Mahama put faith in her integrity, modesty, intellectual capacity, and team role, not NDC top guns have indicated. More than a mere compromise choice from the rumored list of respected candidates, the astute academician and Ghana's first female vice-chancellor is regarded as a unifying force, an attractive personality within the academic environment locally and globally, and a response to affirmative appeal at the highest level of local politics. Now, I want to pin you down on this. It's going to be really tough on the end of the MPP, dealing with Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. One, the last time, practically little mud could be slung at her. Two, she has the experience. Three, she's a woman. There's that appeal to that constituency. Four, she's a returnee. I don't know, but is a game, set, and match?
Well, I think that the first question you should be asking yourself is, what did she bring to the ticket on both occasions?
Do you know? I've spoken to analysts who say she brought a lot.
What do those analysts
what's his name?
point out to?
Professor Kobi Mensah, for example,
What specifically do they point out to?
If you look at the figures, they may say that Central Region is a swing region and all of that.
And what was the impact in Central Region?
In fact, they feel that they had inroads, that there were women constituents who came on board because of her, and that same will appear this time. And maybe the most crucial aspect, anyone else, probably the MPP could have had a field day. Oh, wait, oh, this, oh, that. Let's face it. Dr. Bawumia, he doesn't have a running mate yet. But there's a lot to sling at Dr. Bawumia, even if you just wanted to focus on the economy. Nothing else, just the economy. What would you throw at Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman?
I think that the concept of our politics has always been attack, attack, attack. It takes us off some of the critical data analysis we should do.
Okay.
So if you want to put things into perspective very well, you don't only look at the kind of attacks that can be thrown at the person.
Oh, it's only one angle. It's not to say that's the...
Yes, I'm building a point there. Sometimes you've got to analyze data-wise what the impact of the candidate has to. Some candidates are quote-unquote zero.
Okay.
So no negative, no positive, it's a zero.
Okay, so they add nothing.
They add.
Is that how you feel about
from the data, Prof. Nana?
Which data are you referencing?
The data of the election, both election 2016 and 2020. And if you ask any analyst, ask them specifically, what does she bring to the table, or what did she bring to the table? You realize you don't have specifics. Like Prof. Kobi, you mentioned Prof. Kobi. You mentioned the swing region of Central Region, which is a home region. But you cannot make references to data to say that Prof. Nana brought this, or the swing region behaved this way because of Prof. Nana. In 2016, what was the impact in her home region? In 2020, what was the impact? In fact, I did my first degree in the University of Cape Coast, where she happened to be Vice Chancellor. And the data or the grounds shows clearly that she's not a typical favorite Central Region person. The NDC has a track record when it comes to running mate from Central Region. Pick from 92, Akowaka in Kenson was from Central Region. Pick up to Prof. John Atamos in 96, who was also from Central Region. Up until JDM, who was not from Central Region. Mr. Atta was from Central Region. Prof. Nana is also from Central Region. So the NDC does nothing new when they go to Central Region. And that makes it more compelling or more imperative to see something drastic brought to the ticket by Prof. Nana. And that is missing so far in the situation. Compare Prof. Nana's inclusion to that of Prof. Atamos's inclusion. Then you realize that Prof. Nana brings absolutely zero to the table. And without any apologies or without mentioning words, you can estimate her involvement, her impact on the campaign trail. For an NDC person, it is more of a continuity, and that person should be smiling because it releases you of coming to defend why she was changed, why she is no longer on the ticket, why then it fits into what the MPP said in 2016 and 2020 that she brings nothing. That is why she's been changed. So for the safety net of it, the NDC would want to go with her. But analytically and data-wise, what does Prof. Nana bring to the table? And in my estimation, is that she brings very little to the ticket. Right. And talk of attack. I think that it's the same with the NDC's candidate, John Damang. A lot of attacks could go on him, but that is because you are at the forefront of it. That is because you are the candidate. And at this point, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a candidate. So you would expect that the NDC sling would go mostly aimed at him. But the point is that who worries themselves to attack Prof. Nana when she brings absolutely nothing to the table? And that is why maybe the MPP or people do not attack her much. Right. If she had brought a lot to the table, maybe a lot would have been directed at her.
But she wasn't on the ticket. You mentioned 2016, 2020. She was only on the ticket in 2020.
Sorry, 2020, yeah.
And she's going to be on the ticket for the second time as running mate. I think we've spoken about the EC's bid. Do you want a very quick reflection on Africa needs more?
Yes,
for 30 seconds before we go.
It could actually be a focal point in every conversation, because if you look at the impact...
The way you are excited about it...
I'm excited.
No, hold on. You know nowadays... Yeah, can be the Baumia campaign picks.
Oh, no.
Your manifesto, you're going to build more museums.
Do you know what? If you go to my YouTube last video right now, I was actually reviewing the impact of tourism on France.
Right.
So it makes it more a conversation I'd like to involve, because you know that the Eiffel Tower alone receives up to 6 million plus every year. The Disneyland receives up to 15 million.
Let's not talk about them. Notre Dame,
and Notre Dame,
which got gutted by fire.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many.
And you know, you'd pay as much as 50 euros to enter the Disneyland. Enter keke, not pick anything. Yeah. The Eiffel Tower takes about 20 euros. So you realize the impact of some of these sites, and it's huge.
How they contribute even to the economy.
It's huge. France is built on nothing but tourism.
Well, not necessarily nothing. Agriculture.
8%.
They have a burgeoning. Even when it comes to wine alone.
I mean,
I could take you on there.
For the want of a better word, 8% of the French GDP is from tourism, and for 8% of any GDP,
there's 92% somewhere.
It's huge. It's extremely huge. So you would want to encourage more of these things, and I agree with a good professor that Africa needs more of these ones.
On the international front, we will not get into the stories. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso form joint force to fight jihadists. Liberia Parliament approves creation of War Crimes Tribunal, and recently they've also started something where they are going to try or set up systems to deal with people who have been known to be corrupt, who have taken, I wish we could do that in Ghana, regardless of whose ox is gone, NDC, MPP. And I've always said that when I get to this point, I remember Peter Alajete, furniture. Macky Sall announces March 24 election. Biden, Trump woo Haley voters. Of course, Nikki Haley now, after the Vermont and Washington, D.C. win. Not enough. She's moving aside on Super Tuesday. But who's going to get more of her votes? Trump or Joe Biden? It's leaning more towards Joe Biden if you follow the logic.
Because she's still decided not to endorse Trump.
Yeah. 2023, deadliest year for migrants in a decade. EU's von der Leyen wins to lead bloc for 5 more years. And China's exports rise unexpectedly. Let's get into the stories in both the Daily Guide and the Finder newspaper before I wrap with the Ghanaian.
So the Daily Guide looks at the front page, John Kuma dead, MPP mourns. Nigeria APC chairman versus...
I think some of these headlines are even... MPP... No. Ghana mourns. What's this? We must always politicize this. And MPP from Ghana.
NDC confirms Nana after forcing and 2 others face judgment on May 3rd. Number 1 induced public with celebrities. These are the front page of the Daily Guide. And the Finder... maybe later.
So we can go into the Daily Guide.
Go into the Daily Guide.
Come back to Finder.
I mean, John Kuma dead is strongly stated. Number 1 induced public with celebrity. The investigator on the number 1 trial makes the assertion that the men's gold issue was more could be blamed on the inducement from celebrities. Let's return to our values, Ghana's rich culture. Gaza ceasefire talks end in Cairo with no substantial answer. I think that the ceasefire issue on Gaza too is lingering on the international scene with no end in sight. With still some bombing raid at the West Bank and then the south of the Rafah side of Gaza, which is very, very deadly at this point. After forcing and 2 others face judgment on May 3rd. I think that we are
the ambulance.
Yeah, we are still aware that Ato Forsen and the 2 others of the NDC are still in court facing some count of
the trial is still ongoing,
willfully causing financial loss to the state to the tune of 2.37 million euros on the ambulance issue. NDC confirms Nana as she accepts. Yesterday, she issued a statement to accept her nomination by John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency.
And there's also EC releases 2024 elections timetable.
2024.
Albeit late, a lot of parties, even the MPP has
Yes. I think that the issue has to do with the consensus at IPAC, considering that there were motions or there were proposals for changing date. But then I think that finally it is better late than ever.
All right. So I think we're done with the Daily Guide, but I just wanted to avert your attention to something you read. The President's Independence Day, let's return to our values and all of that. Some would say LGBTQ. What do you think about it?
I think that
things are.
I think that I have said that there is so much consensus on the LGBTQ plus bill in Ghana.
Is there?
There is so much consensus.
The President on the 4th, even before there was a suit in court on the 5th, prognosticated, looked in his crystal ball and saw that someone would, and even said, almost as though it had already happened, to the international community. So Mr. President literally lied to the international community.
First of all, let me make some corrections. He did not lie.
He didn't?
On the 7th of July, 2023, Dr. Amanda Odoi mounted a suit at the Supreme Court against the...
We're not talking about that.
No,
that has nothing to do with this current...
No, but that's what he's... No, that's what he's saying. He's saying that... Hold on, bro. He's saying that he's aware that an issue was being mounted at the Supreme Court against the bill. He did not say that Richard Delasky has mounted an issue. So if you check the records, was there an issue or had there been a defense mounted against the bill? Yes, there was by Dr. Amanda Odoi. That is a fact.
So Mr. President was referring to June last year.
You and I were not in his books. So we give him the benefit of the doubt.
I see.
Because indeed he was not wrong. He did not lie to the international community. He didn't. Okay. So, but for me, I think that the focus is on our consensus. The president has made his position very clear on this bill. Parliament has had a unanimous voice on it on 2 occasions. On July 5th, when the second reading was done, it was unanimous that it moved to third reading. And then on the 28th of February, when it was passed to, it was unanimous. And generally, if you look at our social construct, our religious construct, our cultural construct, the perspectives, everything shows that Ghana is 90% on the same page. The only difference is that the president, like any other citizen, may have points to point out in the bill. The bill originally was not like this. So if you look at...
so hold on. Since you are defending it from this angle, let me read to you verbatim what Mr. President said. And I'll just skip to the relevant part. He says, I think it will serve little purpose to go at this stage into the details of the origin of this proposed law, which is yet to reach my desk. But suffice it to say that I have learned that today, Mr. President said, today, a challenge has been mounted at the Supreme Court by a concerned citizen to the constitutionality of the proposed legislation. There is no other person who has done that. It is Richard Delasky, and I'll have time for that issue and Richard Delasky and Sam George in my blank thoughts. But he said categorically that today a challenge has been mounted at the Supreme Court.
Did he mention Delasky?
No, he didn't. But you don't need to be a scientist, a nuclear scientist.
But the point is that you refer to Delasky.
You don't have to mention the name.
So
did he say certain
So at the end of the day, is there a suit in court mount challenge?
Let's do this step by step. Did Afenyo Markin in Parliament say certain things and mention a name or not?
No, he did. Yeah, he did.
He did.
No problem.
And he mentioned a specific name. Then you come here, and Mr. President, you were trying to say that he's alluding to something in the past.
No, I did not say he was...
Mr. President says, I have learned that today a challenge has been mounted, speaking on the 4th. So what are you referring to?
So first of all, the question you ask yourself is that, was there a challenge mounted against the matter? Yes, there was. Was Delasky's name mentioned? No, Delasky's name wasn't mentioned. You may want to dwell on the today used. I perfectly agree with you. But does that take away the fact that the central focus of the president is that there is a defense or there is a suit mounted against the bill in court or in the Supreme Court? Does that take it away? No, it does not.
This shows that the president lied. Do you agree?
How does it show that the president lied?
Okay, it's fine. You can adopt your stance, whatever it is. Let's wrap with the headlines in the Finder.
But then, just as I mentioned, I think that we have a consensus around the table. I'm not for LGBTQ. I hope that the bill will be passed. The president.
Are you for protecting all citizens so that no one will be rubbed off the wrong way? You are for it, but
no, I think that the bill itself protects the right of even offenders, right. And that is one of the things I like about the bill, that it protects the right of offenders. So you would in no way want to, but you see the
so you're looking at both sides,
yes,
which is a good thing.
Yes, which is a good thing. The president has a track record when it comes to not assenting bills when he has reservations.
I like how you use those 3 instances in recent times. So
you see, the point is that
I see a certain pattern, but
the Armed Forces Bill was not assented to the first time. The Witchcraft Bill was not assented to. He raised his concerns,
and those are the 3 bills I'm referencing. Good. Let's just quickly do the headlines of the Finder in some 10 seconds.
Yes. So I think that it starts from Will's cries echo as tribute pour in for Dr. John Kumar. Banks post 8.3 billion cedis profit in 2023, reported by the Bank of Ghana. Politicization of our power outages slowing industrialization, AGI declines. It's Prof. Jane as running mate of the NDC.
I guess same stories. The Ghanaian Times, just one story to add. Guta appeals to government to remove COVID-19 and special import levies to prevent business collapses. And that's how we cap off the news review. But this segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Buehian behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. You want to stay because after sports, I'll be serving you my blunt thoughts. Water, 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 like the Nigerians will say. Thank you very much. Former Nukes President Dennis Labi Ampofo has been my guest. He's also a member of the MPP's Election 2024 Manifesto Committee. Thank you for joining.
Good time on us.
Sports is up next. Stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports. I am Muftau Nabila Ablai. President Akufo-Addo has received the torch ahead of tonight's opening ceremony for the African Games 2023. Her Excellency Meminata presented the torch to the President at the Jubilee House on Thursday evening following a meeting with the Minister of Youth and Sports and the President. The opening ceremony will be happening later tonight at the Legon Sports Stadium.
Your Excellency, and we are very honored for the opportunity given to us this afternoon to present the African Games torch relay, a symbolic handing down of the African Games spirit that has been passed from generation to generations since 1965, when the game first started in Brazzaville. Your Excellency, I want to miss that opportunity on behalf of, as chair of TCAG and LOC and all my delegation, to say sincerely thank you to you and our appreciation to Your Excellency for your commitment. I can say a strong commitment, a strong will to us, the African Games, and for the great investment. I don't know how many times I visited, I was following, I can see the huge investment in sport infrastructure toward a very beautiful and successful game in Africa. I would like your Mr. President to say thank you to my brother Yusuf Mustafa. We are working together, and Waku and the overman, my vice chair, for their engagement, to be sure they are working tirelessly and for us to have a successful games in Ghana, the African
Jubilee House, and to say how very welcome you are. We've gone to a lot of energy and expense to put up these games, and we've had strong support from you and encouragement, and the whole thing has now come to its climax. So we're hoping that the games will be successful, well patronized and well organized, and all of us will take the benefit from that, you as well as us here in Ghana. So I'm praying that everything goes well on Friday and onwards, and that we'll have spectacular games that people will remember about for generations to come. I have to congratulate each one of you for the input and for the work that has been done, especially Kweku Asare, who's died, woken up, and died and woken up several times on his way till today, but fortunately is now still alive at the end of the process. But it's good. Thank you very much for coming. You're welcome. All of you are very welcome.
That was the President Akufo-Addo receiving the torch from the African Union ahead of the opening ceremony that will be happening later tonight. Now let's talk about the football action. It began at the Accra Sports Stadium on Thursday with South Sudan and Uganda, as well as Nigeria, are all in action for the opening day. of the competition. South Sudan lost their game 1-0 to Senegal. Nigeria lost 2-1 to Uganda. And later today, Ghana's Black Satellites will be in action. Let's hear from their head coach, Desmond Offers, who says that the boys are ready to make their country and themselves proud.
Yes, of course, I think as a player, or it doesn't matter if it's the first team or the junior side, when every competition we go with the mindset of trying to achieve the ultimate goal, which is trying to win the tournament. So with our performance, and hopefully if we can reach far, I'm sure automatically we will obviously make sure that the image of Ghana is protected. And like I said before, it's game by game, and we are fully prepared to face Congo tomorrow. We start with Congo tomorrow. Every tournament is different, but of course we are playing at home, so expectations are high. And like I said before, the boys are ready. We are ready to give our very best, and then let's see how the tournament goes. But game by game, we'll be ready. There's no pressure. You know why? Because I think, like I said, we are fully prepared. We really have a good squad. Our boys are ready and hungry, so we don't feel any pressure. There's only one motivation. Motivation is that one, we are the whole hosting country. I think that's motivation enough. And secondly, we are the national under 20. We are Ghana. I think automatically we are very hungry and ready to deliver. So to be honest, we don't need any additional motivation. We just have to come and showcase our qualities and represent the nation as best as we can.
There are many people out there looking for this opportunity. And we, as we have been selected, we are much grateful for this opportunity, and we are ready to deliver and bring out the best. We are ready and we are fully prepared. And I will promise everyone that we will bring the trophy.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's talk about other disciplines. Swimming is one of such disciplines that is hopeful of winning medals for Ghana in this year's African Games. My colleague Haruna Mubarak paid the team a visit, and he has this in the following report.
The Africa Games is finally here, and the 10 swimmers are all in, committed to making their mark. This is a team united by a singular dream to stand out at the event.
Well, the association has really taken their time to bring in this quality of swimmers. We have a lot of swimmers in the country, but it's a statement that we want to make. I mean, looking at this facility and how we want swimming to grow in Ghana, it is best we bring the best qualities for this competition. And I think the selection here, or the team here, I believe is the best we have, and they are really going to make a statement for us here.
It is a team with a blend of experience and youth. Nubia Ejay, a 100-meter backstroke national record holder, is one of the senior figures within the group.
Improve my time, get better, and just move forward with all my individual strokes and relays.
How long has it been?
4 years.
What were you doing within those 4 years?
Just been training, getting ready, and really just trying to do my best at each competition that we've gone to.
How far have you grown within those 4 years?
I think steadily I've been growing. I've seen the improvements I've needed to make, and I'm hoping that it's all put into practice when I do this competition, so hopefully everything adds up.
The most experienced is Team Ghana's captain, Abeku Jackson. He holds national records in the 50 and 100 meters butterfly and was the only swimmer in the team who participated at the 2019 Africa Games in Rabat.
I mean, there's been massive improvement. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to being better than I was in Rabat. It's my home ground. I have home support. I have family, I have friends supporting me. So I can't wait for the meet to start.
Ghana has won 185 medals in its history at the African Games, but none from swimming. The swimmers have been in camp for several days, preparing intensely for personal development and hopefully it's enough to end the drought.
I just hope to PB and get as big a PB as possible and really hold the flag up for Ghana. It would be nice to get on the podium for anything and really just do my best. Yeah.
It's my dream to break that jinx. It's my dream. Like I said, every Ghanaian athlete here is hoping to get on the podium. It's home grounds. We are hoping to give our best for our country and make our nation proud.
What I see from swimmers, I see that they're waiting. That they came here to show their best results, to swim their best times, and it's quite a different team because they're all coming from other parts of the world. So someone's coming from UK, someone's based here, someone's coming like Beku, he's swimming with me in Russia. They all have kind of different approaches, but we all here for the same goal, is to give our best. I can say we can take one medal for sure, because we worked hard. Especially, I'm talking, of course, with Beku, because I know him pretty much, because I'm his coach, and I'm sure that he has what it takes to get a medal here.
With every stroke, every breath, and every beat of their hearts in this pool, Team Ghana suggests they are not just preparing for a competition, they are preparing to leave a legacy. The African Games is on the horizon, and here comes Team Ghana. Haruna Mubarak from the Boteman Sports Complex for Joy Sports.
Now, let's talk about one of the things Sports Security Lab has decided to do in honor of one of the greatest athletes of all time when it comes to 400 meters, Edwin Moses. They have unveiled or launched an installation of a facility to honor the American athlete. There's more in this report.
The installation, done at the University of Ghana Stadium, is themed Victory in Unity, a campaign to help celebrate Africans who excelled at various sports. Renowned icons featured in the lineup include luminaries such as Feya Abdulaziz, the first female Egyptian karateka to win Olympic gold, Ghana's Raphael Botsio Nkegbe, Naomi Alphonse, the first Mauritian para-athlete to reach a Paralympic Games final, and South Africa's Mpumelelo Mlungu, a multi-world championship Paralympic Games medalist. The rest are Helen Obri, the only woman to have won world titles in indoor track, athletic track, and cross-country, as well as Abedi Ayew Pele, who is regarded as one of Africa's greatest footballers of all time. Speaking ahead of the official unveiling of the initiative, Olympic gold medalist and board member for Sports Equity Lab, Dr. Edwin Moses, explained the decision to celebrate the athletes.
A theme that really encompasses all the best things that happen in sports, not just on the field, but on the field and behind the field with people who are doing research and identifying subject matter and different topics that sports has the possibility of making significant changes to. So that's what the title means.
Celebrating the successes of African legends is one thing that rarely happens on the continent, especially in Ghana, where heroes have barely been given their dues. However, the founder of Sports Equity Lab, Professor Yetsa Tuakli, assures these athletes are well acknowledged across all parts of the world and shouldn't feel left out.
I would say that we recognize that being an African giant has nothing to do with how you're built, nothing to do with how you're shaped, nothing to do with your physical configuration. It's all about who you are on the inside and your spirit. So sports is all about the power of human spirit to triumph over just about any adversity. And a lot of the athletes I know on my team, my Paralympic team, are complete giants, but they just don't happen to be configured in the same way that we would imagine. And so I would say to all the African giants inside who've got great spirits, who understand how to use the human spirit to triumph over adversity, to harness grit, to harness resilience, to become the champions that you are. We see you, we celebrate you, and we love you.
Present at the unveiling of the installation was Nkegbe, who is captain of Ghana's wheelchair basketball team, the national wheelchair racing record holder, who is part of the 6 personalities being celebrated, says it feels great to be recognized.
Oh, sometimes you just feel like you have also make an impact. So if you see something like this, you make that your impact be made to the sports being felt up there. Sometimes locally, sometimes so from outside, sometimes you feel so that you also pay your dues for the nation development through the sports.
The installation will officially be open from March 8, allowing spectators of the African Games to add their photographs as a symbol of solidarity with the athletes.
As the first Chief Executive Officer for the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program (NEP), he successfully positioned as the enabler of the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Ghana. Under his leadership, the program trained 7,000 startups in 2018 under the Presidential Business Support Program and supported 1,350 beneficiaries with funds. Proud to working for government, John Kumar was the founding member and managing partner of Edua Proche Chambers, a law firm. He also worked as the founder of Majak Associates Limited, a building and construction company. In November 2020, Dr. John Kumar received a doctorate in business innovation from the Swiss Business School in Switzerland. Before then, he had acquired a master's in applied business research at the same business school in 2019. In 2009, he had an executive master's degree in business administration from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. It all began at the University of Ghana, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics with philosophy, a Bachelor of Arts degree Law LLB in 2011, and a professional law certificate from the Ghana School of Law in 2013. He was admitted to the Ghana Bar in 2013. As an entrepreneur by birth, a lawyer by profession, a politician by choice, a preacher by divine calling, he sees none of these as an accident but a call to serve humanity. He's a family man with 6 children and married to Apostle Mrs. Lillian Kuma.
It had already been a somber mood in Parliament as MPs paid tributes to 2 former members of Parliament who had passed on. These deaths reignited conversations about the state of MPs' conditions of service.
If you think anybody will think about you, forget it. Look, I don't know, those in the chamber today, you are lucky you've not seen any by-election. That result, oh no, we had MoU. You see your colleague coughing is there. And people are already wearing t-shirts and dancing around and jumping to replace him. Nobody is thinking about his family. Nobody is thinking about children. Nobody is thinking about how the family the pain they are going through. They are just happily to replace him. So each of us who is sitting here, if you think you are this important, I'm reminding you, you are not important at all to anybody, including your own constituents. Let us build a family here. If you are sick and you have served this chamber for even 4 years, why can't the state take care of you? Somebody who has served 20 years, the state couldn't take care of him. He has to lament to go back home and die. Today is Lokwamo, Honorable Lokwamo. Who knows? Tomorrow it could be me. Who knows? It could be you. But we are not talking about the things that will protect each and every one of us beyond this chamber.
First Deputy Speaker Joseph Oseiwusu had also implored MPs to take care of themselves.
Nobody, like Honorable Muntaka said, nobody cares about you after here. They need you only when they have an emergency. They need you only when they want admission to an institution. They need you only when they want financial support. Once they have gotten that, you can go to hell. If you're broke, they will laugh at you that you're broke. If you're sick and you can't afford medical care, they will laugh at you. So we have only each other to depend on. Let us not forget our responsibility.
Former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, on his part, told the story of the struggles of a former Member of Parliament who did not even have enough to undergo a surgery.
Speaker, one day Speaker Michael Quay then, as chairman of the board, had a request from a former Member of Parliament, which request was that the member of parliament, and I'm just highlighting what the Honorable Muntaka have said. When we sit here, we allow the public to bastardize us for ex gratia. Beyond ex gratia, what is the quality of life of the former MP? And what are we doing to improve our lot? And Mr. Speaker, at the time, Professor Michael Kwe, as chair of the board, needed to help a former MP with 12,000 Ghana cedis. And this MP was requesting to do a surgery, a prostate surgery. I want to keep the name because this is public. And Professor Kwe turned to me and said, Haruna, that's a member of your caucus, former member. He needs urgent medical attention of 12,000 Ghana cedis. So Professor Kwe whispered that, Minority Leader, find half, and I also provide half. Mr. Speaker, before 1 week, this former MP passed on because he couldn't afford the cost of the surgery.
As MPs digested this, the news began filtering in that the Jesu MP and Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma had died. The shocked Speaker, Alban Bagbin, who had just been unofficially informed of this tragic news, suspended sitting immediately.
Honourable members, sitting is accordingly suspended.
MPs began discussing among themselves the tragic news that had just come in as they formed caucuses on the floor of the House. The Speaker then returned and adjourned the House.
For good reason, the House will have to adjourn.
Honorable John Kuma was one of the members of parliament whose relationships cut across the aisle. He had friends in the opposition, just as he had so many friends within the governing side in parliament. In fact, so many times that he was in parliament, you will see members of the minority side go to his chair, have a conversation with him. He was not confrontational. He never got himself engaged, except in political banter on the floor. You will recall that e-levy conversation. Those are the few times that you see John Kuma involved in a banter. And today, that information about his unfortunate passing to eternity was filtering to in Parliament, forcing the House to adjourn abruptly to tomorrow. We expect that in the coming days, the family will have officially informed the Speaker of Parliament about this tragic passing so that the Speaker of Parliament can in turn officially inform MPs of that. But this is the second time that a Member of Parliament is passing within the life of this 8th Parliament. The first being the late Member of Parliament for Kumewu, who has since been replaced. Reporting for Joy News, Wiku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Ghana 4, thank you for staying with us. On this segment of the show, I get to free my mind, say it as it is. But today, on the back of the kind of day we've been ushered into, which is why I'm clad in this outfit today, I want to take not up to a minute, but a moment for us to reflect on the life of Dr. John Kuma, the Ejisu lawmaker who now has met his maker. Like I shared this morning, so let's all, as we remember him fondly, also remember that someday we shall go. Which is why, Ghana 4, moving on from there, some things irk my spirit, make me angry. Accountability in this country is zero. Look, I have said time without number. One of the areas where we get to milk our economy the most is sports, which is why this morning I want to talk about when sporting budgets make no sense and the bill degenerates into a circus. My take. When sporting budgets make no sense and a bill degenerates into a circus. My take. Now, until we get to the point where we get surgical, incisive, with asking people in power, especially in our sports and in other arenas, when it comes to politics, to account for the minutiae of spending, we'll always see corruption on the ascendancy. How? Look, we've been told that for the All Africa Games, infrastructural expenditure. Bottom and Sports Complex, $145 million. I'm not talking of cedis, I'm talking of dollars. And I'll make a point. The Games Village, $16 million. Who is quantifying? Who is giving us a breakdown of the figures to account for the fact that Messrs. So-and-so, this contractor did this, and we put this in there? That is what civilized jurisdictions do. And you account for every last dollar, cent, red cent. Because this doesn't make sense to me. The University of Ghana Stadium. I schooled in the University of Ghana, undergrad for my LLM and everything. I've done so many things there. I've seen that stadium up since when? Now, all of a sudden, we are told that $34 million was expended not to build or put up the stadium. Renovation works and this and that. Christ me! In 2016, 8 years ago, less than 8 years ago, the entire Cape Coast Stadium was put up for $16 million. 16 million. And don't tell me, I'm not talking cedis, I'm talking dollars. Even if you do appreciation of currency or depreciation of our currency, $34 million is 2 times $16 million plus $2 million to spare. And no one is talking about this. And yet we'll come back and say, oh, corruption. We had the ANAS exposés and everything that happened in between. So we know. This is a story. But when will it stop? Now, Professor Ezekwumesi, the former head of the NSA, has been moved aside. That guy, the things that came up during his tenure and how he stayed on, only God knows but me. I will stay away from that issue. $195 million. That's almost a third of what we hope to get from the IMF every 6 months or so. Wake up, Ghana, for smell the coffee. It's brewing, it's percolating, it smells heavily. Fail to smell it, don't complain about corruption. Don't. Are we blind? And no one asks questions from the Gold Coast, Australia bit to so many things that keep happening, even the budgets of our national teams and all of that. Sometimes I mama kuma yeme ya. And so what can I say, oh, what kasado mano bokiti. Next slide. Now, $47 million to cover the operations of the local organizing committee. $47 million. Let's not even multiply this by the 13, right? Let's even multiply this by 10. 470 million Ghana cedis. Hey! If you ask for a breakdown tour, what's any why? Anyway, let's go on to the next slide. Now, moving away from sports, right? I just wanted to vent. I had to vent because some things don't make sense on the sporting front. But let's come to this whole LGBT thing. Look, let me tell you this. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on. Me, I've made my stance clear. I know people who are gay, and anyone who knows me knows that my stance is simple. Biblically, homosexuality or anything tied to that, no way. Me, that is me. But at the same time, you will not dehumanize or take away anyone's humanity on the back of any such legislation. That's my simple stance. Me, gay, homosexual, lesbian, man, family line. That's not me. But should we protect them just the same way as we will protect even murderers under our constitution? Because now we've taken away the whole thing about killing, capital punishment and all of that. So in between. But then today I want to do some juxtapositions and sometimes go back in history and come back and find out whether people are not shifting the goalposts a bit or are they sticking to what they said, what they represented. Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill reaction so far. The finance ministry says we risk losing about $3.8 billion of World Bank support. The IMF monitoring event. They are monitoring how things are panning out. President Akufo-Addo, he says he's awaiting the Supreme Court's decision on the bill before any action. But let's go to the next slide because it makes for very interesting reading. I have learned that today, and you see, that member of the MPP's Manifesto Committee, I spoke to him during the news review, Mr. Labi. He came on and he was trying to, Massa, don't take us for fools. Mr. President said, I have learned that today, speaking on the 4th day of March, today, a challenge has been mounted at the Supreme Court by a concerned citizen to the constitutionality of the proposed legislation. In the circumstances, it would be as well for all of us to hold our hands and await the decision of the court before any action is taken. Mr. President, are you a justice of the Supreme Court? And by the way, do you have a crystal ball you can look into and, hey, yeah, the case be cool. Hey, if you could do that, I think you could have done magic with our economy, Mr. President. Because as of the 4th, when you were speaking, guess what? There was no such suit. And here's our proof. Next slide. The proof is in the eating of the pudding. Because the suit in the Supreme Court of Judicature and the Supreme Court of Ghana, Accra AD 2024, with the whole community there, dated the 5th day of March 2024. So how did Mr. President know? Wow. Ghana 4, let's clap for Mr. President. Mr. President has become clairvoyant. He can look into the future now. Let's clap for Akufo-Addo. So that's on Mr. President. Next slide. Now, on that same bit, if you look at what happened, passed in Parliament Tuesday, March 29, 2022, minority files case in Supreme Court Wednesday, 30th March, and then President Akufo-Addo, and that's 2022. President Akufo-Addo assents Thursday, 31st March, 2022. And that has to do with the e-levy bill. You see the different strokes for different folks, because Mr. President says, oh, there's a case in court, so I don't go touch him. I don't go touch him. And I don't want to sign, I don't want to get Wahala Plus, the court system. But when it came to the e-levy, look at the trajectory. There was a case in court. Mr. President, pop, signature. Yanko. Why the disparity, Mr. President? Next slide. But then, of course, you would see here in the Superior Court of Judicature as well, back then, Haruna Idrisu Mahama Yariga Samuel Kujatua Blakwa, 30th March 2022. That's one senior went ahead and signed off on it. But let's go to the next slide. Because in talking about this, you also look at some of the elements who've been speaking on it. Recently, we heard of that instance in Parliament. Our reporter was there, parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante was there. Listen to Afenyo Markin, make mention of a citizen, private citizen, to go ahead, even went ahead to mention a name, and everything followed. And of course, I don't want to talk about whose firm who is working in. That one, be my case, be my wahala. But Richard Delesky, who has taken this matter to court, saying, and I'll look at all angles, saying that he wants to test the law and constitutionality and all of that. Some have said even from the very basis of it that it ought to be thrown out. Why? It's not even an act. It's not been enacted. It's not law. So based on what is the court going to act? Based on a bill that has not yet passed? Will the court even do that? But that one, I'll leave it to the courts. I'm not a justice of the court. And I don't mean to suggest anything to the court, clearly. But Richard Delesky, on the 9th of June 2011, said that he had just received a shocking email from a self-confessed homosexual based in Accra. Folks, can you imagine? The young man is asking me to help him lead what he calls, quote, a sustained media campaign to pressurize Ghanaian authorities to recognize gay rights in all forms. Massa, I beg you in God's name, please try elsewhere. In fact, if there's anything I abhor most in this world, it is homos. God punish you. For me, I feel, while I have a specific stance on this, I feel this was somewhat homophobic. These are human beings. And I don't know whether in trying to rope them in or make them anything else, or maybe even leave them as they are, but see what influences. It's like Christianity, right? Even when trying to proselytize, you don't go, hey, you must be. So I don't know. It sounded a bit, but that's his opinion. Respect that. But in 2012, he adds, gosh, President Obama endorsing same-sex or gay and lesbian relationship, I'm really scandalized. He has brought the name of his father and Africa, in my view, into disrepute. Let's fast forward to 2024. My own brother, Richard Delesky. This action is not a declaration of my personal stance on LGBTQI+. He clarifies, it's not a declaration of his personal stance, individuals per se, but a conscientious effort to ensure the strict adherence to and protection of the constitutional framework that governs our society. Whatever that may be. But you read between the lines. I'm not here to read for you. I'm putting the lines there. Read between them. Next slide. But there's been all this talk about, if you go the way of that, World Bank cash, Yamutu, IMF cash, go come. While those elements are there, let's look at what is true and what is not. Now, African countries with anti-LGBTQ laws but still enjoying smooth IMF programs. I always like to look at both sides because it could happen, but it also, on the back of precedent, could not happen. How about that? Uganda has probably the most draconian LGBTQI+ law in the world, I think. 2014 crackdown in 2023, then life in prison, that's the maximal term, the year law against the same-sex marriage, 2014, and the crackdown happened in 2023. Maximal term, life imprisonment, but the IMF program, $1 billion since June 28, 2021. In fact, the tranches released $120 million released after their fifth review, March 2024, this very month. Well, let's look at others. Zambia, 2005, crackdown in 2023. Maximal prison sentence, life in prison. We don't even have anything close to that. 3 years, 5 years, and all that. IMF program, $1.3 billion from 2022, August. Tranches released, second tranche approval, December 2023. And total disbursement so far, $561 million. Crackdown in 2023. In 2024, they are still getting money. Next slide. Senegal, 1966, all the way back, of course, a largely Islamic country. In 2022, lawmakers decided not to pass a draft bill that sought to toughen already severe laws against same-sex relations because they already had it. Maximal prison term, 5 years, kind of like ours. IMF program, $1.5 billion since June 2023. How much have they got? Senegal received $279.31 million from the IMF after their first review, December 2023. Looking forward to their next review and another sum of money. Next slide. So when you look at all of these, Uganda and all these other countries, Senegal, among others, something doesn't add up, right? So what exactly is going on? You know me, I put the information out there. You do the thinking. But in the midst of all of that, Ghana's anti-LGBTQ plus bill, I saw him in church one of these days and I smiled in my head. Gabi, I like his beard though. I like the way he keeps himself. And I love the way he keeps himself trim at his age. It's very becoming of a man like him. You wouldn't even know he's as old as he is. But I disagree with him a lot of the time. The biggest threat to family values in our society is caused by side chicks and side dudes. So side chickism, side dudism, anyway. They break homes and family values cannot survive in broken homes. But our MPs don't care, do they? Eja Gabi, that's what he's saying. Do you care? But the president was speaking about values at the Independence Day, right? Does he care about what Ghanaians think about LGBTQ as well? Regardless of what their thinking is. But let's come also to Sam George. There's some disparity. My paddy bachale when it comes here, paddy no day inside. But yo, fine. I will give you a nice haircut. 2015, my good friend Sam George said, irrespective of my personal opinions on homosexuals, the constitution of this country still remains supreme. And the constitution of this country enjoins that everybody has rights and that their rights must be protected. Must be protected. In the law, we would say shall be protected. 2015, before the NDC left power. 2021, homosexuality is not a fundamental human right. Show me where in the 1992 Constitution it says that sexual preference is a fundamental human right. The laws of Ghana are clear. Everybody has rights and that their rights must be protected. Homosexuality is not a fundamental human right. Show me where in the 1992 Constitution it says that sexual preference is a fundamental human right. The laws of Ghana are clear. I'm putting the information out. Read between the lines. Okay, next slide, and this will be our final one. But even to advance the conversation further, some would ask, even in places where there's a lot of talk about LGBTQ and community and this and that, what is happening there? That's what we often miss. Come with me. Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill in light of states in the US that have sodomy laws, which also feeds into it. If you sodomize, we have laws on sodomy in Ghana, in our constitution and in the criminal act, but now we are adding on. But look at this. Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Texas. How many are those? 1, 2, 3, 4, multiplied by 3. 12 and counting have sodomy laws. So, for example, when the American ambassador, Virginia Palmer, comes to say, oh, and if you do this and that, and the business community and trade and this and that, ma'am, in your own backyard. Okay, so this is me. I know I'm being a bit mischievous this morning, but I like to put information out there. Think through them. I'll remind you, corruption in sports is mammoth in Ghana. Let's deal with it. Let's not play the ostrich. Let's not pretend. NDC, MPP, they are doing the same thing. One more than the other, but they are doing the same thing. Shine your eye. Let's go there. Civil society groups, think tanks, let's do this. And again, LGBTQ. Let's be fair. Let's look at the different angles. I've stated my Christian perspective. It is my opinion. But then again, let no one be maltreated or mistreated on the back of that. This has been my blunt thoughts shared with you this morning. Raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. Meme dear Charlie. Maka, Paimuka, Maka, Makawie. Benjamin Akako is my name. These are my blunt thoughts. Thank you for watching.
A food vendor. I sell food in an estate. It's true there I saw a tiler. I look at how he was tiling and I thought I can do it. So I approached him, but he told me straight that tiling is not meant for female, so I shouldn't even venture. I met an NGO. They were training youth in construction. There, I wanted to choose styling, but because of what the guy told me, I chose interior decoration, thinking that is a field for female. So along the line, I saw that 95% of the youths found in under the project were all into interior decoration. So I told the leaders if I can change the course. So from there, I changed the course from interior decoration to tiling. After my training, from home, even my sister that I was living with, she wasn't too sure that the training I'm going to have is going to benefit me. So at times when I even come back and complain that I'm having body pains, she'll be like, you want to go into it, so face it. And then I never met anybody who encouraged me apart from the NGO. Everybody was discouraging me because they think it's a no-go area for female.
Na me nso dia me kan say ye mema adwuma. Ba true me nuano na me hu say adwuma be ma betumi aye no. Oba nso betumi aye. Etu ono ni dia me mesua firi ho. Ebedu mmiri bia me ka je nsen dia me nso medi na chi bi. E ma kwasua na me boa no site.
I actually got to know Doris through an interview video a friend shared with me. And from that video I realized yes, this is the right lady to work with. We plan to organize a female tiling training for our partners that's Ghana TV Service. We are actually working with 2 of their schools and wanted to empower the females to be part in the engineering sector. So we actually wanted to organize a project in Thailand, and we're looking for a female expert to train the ladies. Or that female expert could be like a role model or someone that could coach or mentor the female students to be able to learn more in the Thailand. So from the video I watched, I realized Doris is the right person. We actually got to know she was the ambassador for Artisans Association of Ghana. He has done a lot of projects in West Hill and other places. So from there I realized Doris is a very hard-working person. He has the passion to see her fellow female having the skills to be able to work, to be able to earn enough for themselves. So we're very, very happy to have Doris to be the main to train the female.
A woman in the technical field is not an easy job. And when I see her do what she does, I feel okay. And I feel inspired to the extent that I know that I can also do it because she has been able to do it. So if I keep pushing, I can also do better.
I can boldly say that I've empowered a lot of female and then male. I'm so happy and very proud of myself and my girls as well. They are also happy to be around me, which had made them to even move from their comfort home just to come and be with me. So we all stay in the same home as a family. I'm very happy. So with this, I want to tell all female out there that construction is not meant for only male. If you want to do it and you are determined, you will get there.
Without tiling, there is no future for me. Because my auntie is in the male-dominated sector, it really inspires me in all aspects of my life. Whether it being academic, financially, anyway, what men can do, women can do better. My auntie is doing that. She's an inspiration to me. She's a star, and I look up to her because she's a role model to me.
Good morning and happy International Women's Day to every woman watching us from all over the country. I'm Sweetie Abochi and you're seeing me for the first time this morning. So I want to take time to celebrate all the women in my life, starting from right here in the house. Joy News. Emefa Apawu Aisha Ibrahim. I celebrate you. I met Emefa like a year ago around this time at Women in PR, and I used to think that when I grow up, I want to be like this woman. So working in a close space with her, I mean, your strength, your resilience, and your intelligence, I really admire you. You're an inspiration to me. Thank you for all that. And to all my female friends, happy International Women's Day. I don't know what I would do without my female friendships. You guys rock. And in the spirit of celebrating International Women's Day, the video you just saw is women breaking barriers, dominating or succeeding in male-dominated industries. And they say that what women can do, what men can do, women can do and do it even better. But let's have a conversation. I'm joined in the studio by 2 powerful women who are breaking barriers, a tiler and a painter. Doris Deku is a tiler and Rachel Deborah is a painter. Women who are dominating the men or man-dominated industries. Ladies, happy International Women's Day to you both.
Thank you.
And I think what you're doing is admirable. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. Let me start with you, Doris. Tiling is not something that any woman will just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a tiler. How did you even venture into this space in the first place?
So when it's into it, I will not say maybe it's my passion or it's something I dream of becoming. My dream was to become a lawyer. And after JHS, I lost my parents, so I couldn't continue education. So I was selling food, and then I met a guy doing the tiling. So I went close to him, and I asked if he can train me. He just told me boldly that tiling is not meant for women. And as at that time, I was very tiny. very smallish. So he was like, I can't do it. Let me just forget about it. Then I was like, really? I felt within myself I can do it. But he just told me I can't. So I continued with the food selling, and later I met an NGO. They were training youth in construction. So they were training youth in construction. So there I told myself, let me make good use of my time, and the hard work I'm doing, it may break me down one day. So I took their number and I called them. I wanted to choose styling, but along the line, I was scared because of what the guy told me.
Right.
Yeah, so I chose interior decoration. But the last day for us to meet our masters, I found out that 90% of the youth are all into interior decoration. Then I started asking questions by myself. I was like, if all of us have the same training in the same area, how are we going to get jobs to do? And how are we going to create difference and stuff? So I told them I want to change the course. Then they allowed me.
But did you know of any women who were doing this job? Did you know of any women who were, tilers?
No. As at that time, I don't know of any. But because of the guy I saw doing it, I felt it. So, and then I also was thinking that since they are saying they are training both female and male in construction, then that means that
there's a place for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just changed that day to Thailand. Even when I met my master the first day, he was like, Ahanso, what are you here to do? Then I was like, I want to be trained as a tiler. Then he was like, he just hold my hand and shake it this way. Then he was like, can you even carry a bag of cement or even a box of towel? I was like, if I can't carry, I'll open it and pick it half. Then he said he has seen that I have the vim that I want to do it. So I started it. So from there, a week later, we started the training. It wasn't easy.
But here you are now.
Yes.
I like that you said even if you can't carry it, you open it and pick it one. Before you can succeed at anything, you need to be tenacious. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down or the challenges that come your way. I'm all about women, so but I'll come back to you. Let's talk about Rachel, who is a painter. Did you ever, as a child, see yourself coming into this space as a painter, a woman painting in this country or in this industry? Was it a dream come true, or you also just ventured into it because, life happened to you? What's your story?
Okay, so it wasn't something, it wasn't something like I really thought of having it as in a work that I want to be doing. But I didn't have the chance to go to senior high school, so at some point I was like, I don't have senior high school certificates.
Right.
Will let me get a job. So I just have to do something that will keep me moving. Yeah. So that's how come I started.
But why painting? Of all the things that you can do after senior high school or without a senior high school certificate, there's so many things that you can do. She even mentioned interior decoration. Yeah. Why painting?
Okay, so it was something that in our house, like when I do it, my mom would be like, this is really nice. I want you to be a painter.
Oh, yes. So you had a skill, or you were already showing tendencies of being a painter.
Yes.
Right.
So she was just amazed with it, and she was like, you can do this, so why not choose? Even if you don't go to, you were unable to go to senior high school, probably you can work with this. So that's how come I decided to move on with.
So you both have been doing this for a while now. Have you connected with other women in similar industries with you? I saw from your video that you are also training younger women to be tilers.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So from the beginning, I tried to train the female for free, but they will come 1 week, 2 weeks, then they will go.
Why?
And I asked them. They said it's difficult.
Yeah.
They are feeling some body pains and stuff. But it's true, when you start, you feel the pains. You feel some body pains, your back, your waist. But if you are determined, that doesn't discourage you.
Don't look like anything can stop you, Doris.
Exactly. So,
okay.
Yeah, so some of them came and they left. But after that, I'm currently training 8 ladies and then 6 guys.
Okay.
And then I have 5 workers. And I've also trained over 30 students at ATTC and under another NGO. So
all women?
Yes, they're all women.
Okay.
Yes, and then some of them are using it as their profession, and then some of them they've packed it somewhere and they are doing other things. But the 8 that I'm training now, I'm going to use them as my team so that in future, if you call Ansadi Ventures, it will be solely female, so that you'll not have men around it, so it will look like female company. Yeah.
You don't want the men, eh?
No, I don't want the men.
We don't want the men.
Skills, so.
Right. But what about you, Rachel? Painting is not something that any woman would just say, I want to be a painter, but you already had the skills or the tendencies of doing this. You have to carry buckets of paint. When I see people paint, it's a lot of, strength work, How do you manage that? You don't look like someone who. So how do you manage? Or you're not required to go all the way up, climb the what's it called?
I climb.
You do all that?
Yes.
Okay.
I climb scarf and all that, but I just have the strength. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something I love doing, and since I love doing, I have to make sure the energy. I just have to put in the energy, no matter what, just to keep me going.
Have you ever had a situation where men or the men in this industry, painters, would perhaps mock you or talk down on you that what you're doing is just a child's play or something? If you have any experiences like that, share with us, and then how you overcame those challenges to still persist in your industry and be successful.
Okay, so there was this time I went out to play lawn tennis, and I saw some men working on a building, and I was like, I want to do this. I can do this. But unfortunately, one guy came out and was like, well, then I'll be to my, you can't do anything. And then the owner was like, he would love to see me do the painting. So he gave me a portion to do the painting. But when I was doing it, the other portion that I was supposed to finish, the man went and then started doing the painting, and with this dirty droppings and all that. So the owner was like, I thought you said you were good at painting. What is all this? So I really felt bad, and I was like, no, like even if I want to become a painter, definitely I have to go under a man like the mill who are painters and then work under them. But this is the situation whereby they are making me feel bad, like, as in, I can't do this. So I really felt bad, and I was like, no. So I go home, had a contract at Prempeh College. So when I went, I had a call from one painter who wanted to start working with me. And I was like, this, that, and then he encouraged me to, do the job. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So that's it.
Right. So as women, we know that there are days, especially that time of the month, when you don't feel like waking up in the morning to go and do anything. Sometimes you don't even want to deal with anybody, You're both professionals, and at every point, your job requires you to get up and go. How do you manage on those days that you really do not feel or you do not have that boost? Like, unlike men, I like to think that men, once they wake up, they have a shot of testosterone or whatever, so they're ready to go. We have to work ourselves, psych ourselves up and, get into it to go on such days. How do you manage, Doris? Yeah. If you have a project, you have to go and tell somewhere, but you really don't feel like getting up. I'm not saying that women are overly emotional, but, we should own our emotions. Sometimes you're unable to just get up and go. How do you manage that? How do you navigate such moments?
Okay, so it do happen to me once a while, but I have workers and trainees around. Okay. So if I don't feel like I relax for half a day, then I go back to work. But if it is necessary for me to go, I gather energy and go, because if you make if it is that thing become part of you, men will start be looking at it in a way that this is what you are saying. You female can never challenge us, but if we are able to like gather the energy and go. When you get to site, at times you may feel bad, but when I get to site and I see the workers and the girls working and we are all moving up and down, the energy comes naturally.
So you get a boost while you move, right?
Exactly.
You don't wait to feel good before you move.
Yeah.
You just move, and while you move, the feelings will come, the energy will come.
Naturally.
What about you, Michelle? Rachel?
So with me, like when I get a contract, I don't do it for the love of the money, but I just want to do it like and see, cause I did it. It's a soft thought, so the chance that I get, I have to make sure I use it wisely, and then I don't want it to be like I'm going to reject the person, like the client, and then it will be like I will not get a chance to learn more, cause it's a soft thought thing. So I have to keep like learning all the time and all that. So when someone calls for painting, I don't hesitate. Like just wake up and then.
How long have you been doing this?
Less than a year.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And how has it been so far? Aside that it's something you like, is it something that you see yourself doing for the next 5-10 years?
Yes, please.
Why?
Because
there must be something in there that is working for you.
Because I just love doing it, and I know it will encourage other women out there to come into the field. So with this, I just have to make sure this is me. I'm a painter. I have to accept who I am and then keep it going.
Well, we are celebrating International Women's Day because women are strong, we are resilient. And although we are known to invest in vast gardens of sacrifice for the greater good or for the lives of others, we always know what we want, and we are, once we are locked on, there's no coming back. What will be your message as a woman making great strides, succeeding in a male-dominated profession to other women who probably thinking that they cannot do what you're doing? What's your message to them?
So my message to the female out there, one, if you are positive, you'll get there. Nothing will discourage you. Just be positive, believe in yourself that I can do it, and you'll get to the top. And then secondly, too, I want to tell all female out there that handiwork is something that no one can take from you, either certificate or no certificate. No one can take it from you. And when you learn it and you don't get job to do, that's not the road. That is not the end of the road. At least if you are able to tile your own house and you didn't pay anybody, you do it yourself. You'll be proud of yourself. If you are able to even put blocks together to build just one room for yourself, it's an achievement. So now that they have the strength, they should make good use of their time to get any handiwork to do. We women, we have the potential within us, but it's hard for us to bring it out because of fear. But if you trust in yourself, and looking at me, I've been in the tiling for 7 years now, and day in, day out, I'm growing more beautiful. So if you are in the construction sector, it's not going to change your form, your beauty, or anything, but it will keep your shape, everything. Because some females feel that when they go into male-dominated, their structure will change to be like men, and their beauty and color will change. They can't fix their nails, they can't do makeups. And
so do you fix your nails?
I fix my nails.
What about you?
But I can still work.
Okay.
I can still work with it.
Okay.
Yes.
But tiling requires you to pick tiles, hit the thing. I don't know much about tiling, but I see how they do it. How do you do that with your nails on?
Yeah, so I don't do it too long because I don't want people to see that maybe you are into tiling, so your dressing, your structure, everything is like men. No, I also want to keep the feminine side so that it will motivate other female. I want to be a role model to others, a mentor to them. So when they see me, like you're in your makeups, your nails, like you dress like a female when you are out there, it will motivate them a lot. But if I change to wear like men clothes and start working like men And with that, it will discourage them. I said it, if I go into this, I'm going to change to be like men. So it's better for me to just stay at my one corner.
Right.
Exactly.
Rachel, do you participate or do you do any physical activity to build endurance? Because you both require a certain degree of physical strength to execute your task in your various industries. Do you like workouts? You have a diet plan? What do you do that keeps you in shape or gives you the right strength and frame of mind to keep going?
Okay, so with where I started, I was first a tour guide. So I used to do hiking, more of hiking. So with that, like, I just have the natural
endurance.
Yes,
so you still hike?
Yes.
Is that all you do?
During maybe occasions and all that.
Okay.
Weekend tours and in Kwewu.
Okay. Doris, do you work out? Or what do you do? Is there a diet plan, something that you do that keeps you going or gives you the strength that you need to, you know, be a Tyler, a woman Tyler?
For me, I've tried my possible best to get the basic tools that will make my work more easier for me. Yes, that is one. And I think the tiling itself is like exercise, so it keeps me good.
You said you have basic tools. So we have machines.
We have machines that can pick the tiles for you. And then we have the electric mallet that you don't need to be hitting. You just press it on it and it will land the tiles wall. And we have basic tools that can mix mortar for you and all those things. So
yeah. Talk about technology and advancements that has come to make life and work easy for us. So, of course, you do not have to have that strength that men do to do the... I mean, I read the story about Shikanik, a woman mechanic. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
And she's also a woman who's doing great things as a mechanic.
Yes.
You don't really need to have the strength and be a bodybuilder and all that. Anyway, you guys are doing great. So what would be your message, Rachel, to women watching you, especially the young ones watching you and thinking, wow, I'm amazed. This woman is a painter. I could be a painter. What do you have to say to a woman like that?
Okay, so you don't have to be scared. Like, you just have to be you. Just let it, like, just come and then show your talent. That's it. And you don't, I don't know what to even say.
They should be resilient, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They don't have to be scared. They should forget about what people will be talking about them, like doing the male, like, they just have to be themselves. And then...
Can I ask, the men who come into your life, are they afraid that you can compete with them on this level? I mean, you're doing something that is a preserve of men, or at least that's what we used to think, but not anymore. How do you deal with men, male attention? Are you both married?
No.
Okay, so how do you deal with your suitors when they come and say, I like you, let's go out on a date? The conversation about the work you do, how do you navigate that?
Okay, I've not experienced them yet, so I'm yet to.
Okay. What about you?
Okay, for me, immediately I mentioned I'm a Tyler, then the person would just be relaxed. He was like, Tyler? And that's all about
I think they feel like you can carry them, eh?
So the next thing they will say is, then you can beat me. Then I was like, oh, no. I'm not, the strength is for tiling, not to beat my...
your partner.
Or something. But I see that within themselves, they think that at the end of the day, when they are together with you and something happens, you may beat them.
Has that ever been a reason why perhaps one of your suitors will decide not to move forward with your relationship or dating or courtship?
It happens to me when I was under training. Yes, he just told me straight that because I'm going into tiling, he can't be with me because I'm going to be in the mix of men.
What?
Exactly, yes. So either I choose between him or the work. Then I was like, this is my future. And I don't know what is going to hold for both of us. So please, let me focus on my future. When I'm done and you are available, fine. If you are not there, I'll move on. And today he's very proud of me. He's married though, but when he sees me, he was like, that's how
I know. Yes. Right. What about you? Rachel, how do you move through the dating scene as a woman painter?
Okay, I haven't met with anyone. So.
Okay, that's fair. All right, congratulations to you both. Any final words before we wrap this up? It's International Women's Day. Shout out to the women in your life. Anyone you want to celebrate in particular, please feel free to do that.
Okay, so I want to celebrate myself as today is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
And happy international. This is a double celebration.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So I want to say a very big thanks to my team and Sadi team. I really love you so much for the hard work you are doing. I don't mostly be on site, but you are always there to deliver in my absence. And I thank my elder sister who supported me when I was having my training. Wherever you are, I love you so much. And my master who had the training, who gave me the knowledge. My master, I love you so much. If you didn't impart this knowledge in me, I will not be where I am today. Thank you very much, and I love you so much.
Aww, we love you so much. Rachel. I mean, Rachel, I know you say you're not really going to talk about this, but really, would you, if you encountered a situation like that, would you choose, family values, or will you choose the relationship or the man over the work that you're doing? I'm just really curious.
No.
So if you came face to face with a situation like that, where a man is saying that I cannot move forward because you're a painter, what direction are you going?
I'll just do my work, and you have to accept me for who I am. You can't just tell me that I have to stop what I'm doing, because I'm not good at anything but a painting. So if you are not interested, someone might be interested. So.
Yeah, because as women, even not just as women, as human beings, you have to have some sort of purpose in life, right? Because I like to say that life is finite. It's not long or short. It has a beginning and it has an end. So whatever you want to do with your life from the start of it to the end of it should be your number one focus. Whatever a man wants, if it's not moving in the flow or the direction of your life, it is back case, right? Anyway, please celebrate the women in your life if you have, if you want to. Let's go.
Okay. So big shout out to BB Flavor, and then IFAB Women Networking, and then also Shikanic. She was the one who really encouraged me to be here. So big shout out to her, and then big shout out to my boss, Let's Talk, and then big shout out to my families. They've been supportive, and then always there for me. Like, I really love them so much.
Right, thank you. It's a happy International Women's Day celebration and conversation here with Doris Deku, who is a tiler, and Rachel Deborah, a painter, two women who are making great strides in male-dominated professions. And I also want to say a happy International Women's Day to every woman watching us. We love you, and we hope that one day women will rise and rule the world, although the men will not. We'll fight us, but that is what we are doing. Right, there's more coming up next on the AM show. Please stay with us.
Welcome back on the AM show, and we're talking about changing the African narrative. There's been so much stereotyping when it comes to Africa in sports, in governance, in many facets of our lives. Well, discussions about Africa earlier existed in the shadow out of date stereotypes. The story is different now as we see a picture of a continent that is swiftly on the rise. We spoke about that earlier. We'll be hearing more from Nicolas Pompine-Mognard, founder and chairman of the APO Group, the leading Pan-African communications consultancy and press release distribution service. He joins us this morning on the show. And I might as well add, his CV is pretty rich. Just let me walk you through a bit of what he stands for. Of course, he's founder and chairman of the APO Group. He's an advisory board member of the African Energy Chamber. There's a tall list here. I wouldn't want to go through all of them. But he has been declared among the 100 most influential Africans in 2023. And he's had these types of conversations been acknowledged on CNN, in Forbes Africa, and the CNBC Africa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for making it here. Tell us a bit about the APO group and being chairman, why you've even embarked on this enterprise.
Well, let's start with the name, right?
Right.
APO. APO is an acronym. People tend to forget about it, or they just don't know about it. APO stands for African Press Organization.
Right.
So I created that company 17 years ago now. And the idea was to, change the narrative about the continent. We started as a press release distribution service. The idea was that I was a correspondent for Gabonese media. I was based in Paris. And I knew that all the international media were depicting Africa, as a continent of, AIDS, poverty, conflict, etc. And they were building a very poor narrative about the continent. But as an African journalist, I knew that there were good news about the African continent already. It's just not those press releases from African institutions, like for instance the African Development Bank, were not reaching the international media community.
Right.
So the idea was to gather as many press releases we could from the African institutions. Press releases are usually good news, right? And to make sure that content was made available to the international media community. So they could not ignore anymore that there were also good news.
Right. It said that until the lion has the pen and is able to write its own history, history will always glorify the hunter. So this time, the lion had also taken the pen and was writing. But why is this even more relevant now? Like you, and especially as a media person, we've all noticed this. Oh, if it's Al Jazeera or BBC or CNN and it's about Africa, there's a certain slant that often comes to it. Why was it necessary now for you to come up with this project?
Well, I started 17 years ago. 17 years ago, it was even more necessary because 17 years ago was 3 years before that very infamous front page of The Economist, Africa, the hopeless continent. So it was, I started in 2007. If we look at the media coverage about Africa in 2007, you will see that it was really, it was really Africa, the hopeless continent. So it was necessary at the time. Today, it's remained very necessary because we are fighting decades, or in fact century of preconceived. You can see it all over. Still in the bias of the media and those preconceived which are everywhere. The changing the narrative about the continent is participating to the development of the continent, changing the image of the continent through sport, through business, etc. Yes, it is a huge fight, and we are not the only one to fight it.
You remind me, it's just this weekend that I got the book, The Looting Brigade. I don't know, by One Something Briggs. It's something that you should check out, actually, because it talks about the systems globally, including here in Africa, the political elite, among others, business magnates, that ensure that certain stereotypes are continued and that the poor remain poor while the rich get richer. But would you say that with the activities of the APO group, that between 2007 and now, an impact has been made in breaking boundaries, in disabusing the minds of people about Africa? Would you say that?
I'm asked that question quite often, I must say. And here's the situation. This is a mighty, long-term, multi-generational problem, and so the solution will take several generations, etc. So it's a huge fight.
Right.
I'm always glad to appear on interview and to say about the good work we are doing to change the narrative about Africa. But there are plenty of other organizations which are pushing in the same direction to change the narrative about Africa, because it will take a lot of energy from a lot of different organizations. From where I stand, I can see a lot of different things. You mentioned that I sit in a lot of advisory boards, so Africa Energy Chamber, Africa Hotel Investment Forum, Canada Africa Chamber of Commerce, and several others. In my position, I'm very privileged that I can see a lot of different things. I'm a special advisor to the president of Rugby Africa, Herbert Mensah, which is a Ghanaian. I work with FIFA, I work with the NBA, etc. So I see sport, I see business, I'm a partner of Afro Nation, I see the music industry.
Okay. So even entertainment, you have a footprint.
Yeah. So we are partnership with the Catholic Church, with the Roman Catholic Church. So I have a view on a lot of different angles, which is a privilege because not everyone has that. When you speak to the people at NBA, they know only NBA. The people at rugby, they know only rugby, etc., etc. Me, I can have a view, you know. It is. I mean, the fight is not over. Like it will take
It's
me.
probably just beginning.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but it's. I mean, we need to do it. We need to make it happen. But the impact of my company, APO, there are different ways to reach that objective as a continent, as people, as black people, by the way. I play my part. I'm already 50. I started almost 20 years ago. I will die in 20 or 30 years. Some people will continue after me. But it's a long fight. Fighting preconceived are some of the most difficult things to fight. And so international media are still, even with the best of the goodwills, there's probably a term for that in English, sorry, I'm not a native, but when people think they are full of goodwill, etc., but in fact they are hurting us. They're hurting our image, you know. So it's a huge fight. It's a huge fight.
Let's talk about, you just mentioned the other angles. Sports, for example. The All Africa Games are taking place in Ghana, and I'm sure you're aware of that. But one slur that usually is cast on sports in Africa is corruption. Corruption. And it's become endemic. In Ghana, we've had our fair share. Even in recent times, there are developments we could talk about. But how are you raising the profile of Africa on the sporting front in that domain?
That is not, again, regarding sport, I'm the public relation agency. My company is a public relation agency for the entire continent of Africa, for FIFA, for NBA, for the Basketball Africa League. I'm a member of the FIFA Task Force for Infrastructure Development in Africa. I am a partner of the AIPS, the International Press Sport Association, and I'm a special advisor to the President of Rugby Africa. Okay, so I'm involved in football, rugby, basketball, and a few other things, right? I can tell you what the words notice about African sport is not what you just mentioned. No one is really, so maybe in certain countries in Africa, corruption in sport is a problem, maybe. But what the world knows about...
But that's not the global image.
What the world knows about sport in Africa is that Africa is providing some of the best athletes in the world. That South Africa...
Oh, that too, without a contest.
Well, that too, but that's the main focus. The main focus is that Africa is taking over at NBA, in rugby, in football. That's the idea. So the main discussion right now about sport in Africa is are we going to be able, as a continent, or the government, the country is going to be able to build the ecosystem, the infrastructure, which we will own, or are we going to wait for multinational companies to come invest in the sport industry in Africa? That's a big debate, and so it's about infrastructure, it's about ecosystem, etc. That's not and another. If there is another topic, I think again, which may be related to the topic you just mentioned, I guess, but it's sport management. The idea is that well, it is not enough to be a fan of football and to have been the captain of the team 10 years ago, etc. That doesn't make you a sport administrator. Passion for the sport doesn't make you a sport administrator, doesn't provide you with the skills to manage a club, a sport federation, or a confederation. So we need to raise the game when it comes to sport administration. That's a hot topic.
So these are the conversations that have been had. In South Africa, 2010 thereabouts, Ghana went to the quarterfinals, nearly got into the semis, courtesy of a certain Luis Suarez. We did not make it there. Just in the last World Cup, Morocco made it to the semifinals. How are you leveraging these stories about African sports, especially football or soccer, as some would place it, on the international scene?
Well, I have the opportunity to meet several instances the Ministry of Sport of Morocco. What is very interesting here is that, again, sport administration and the way also governments are looking at sport to boost sport tourism, to change the image of their country, so soft power. So Africa is 54 countries, right? So each country is different, and they perceive or use or harness the power of sport tourism and the power of sport as a soft power differently. But Morocco, and I should add also Rwanda, are definitely the two countries which are taking that matter very seriously. So it is bringing them money, soft power, and it is, yes, indeed, obviously, slowly changing participating to change the narrative and the image about the continent. Think that Rwanda, which is very small, will be hosting the World Cycling Championship, the World Cycling Championship. Think that Senegal, for instance, will be hosting the very first Olympic competition. Very first time an Olympic competition is hosted on African soil. Think that Egypt announced that they are bidding to host the Olympic Games. Since that Morocco just won the bid for the FIFA World Cup, joint bid with Portugal and Spain. So a lot of things are happening, and these governments which are taking sport very seriously. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, obviously, they are participating to changing the image about the continent, because you're going to have so many people traveling to attend the FIFA in Morocco, so many people traveling to Rwanda to attend the cycling championship, etc., etc. So that tells the world Africa is able to host international sport competition. That means That means all those people will come to Rwanda, for instance, but then they will come back with their families. Etc. etc. So it is good for the country.
It also boosts tourism, even beyond sports.
Sport tourism is huge.
Right. Let's focus briefly on other, I wouldn't say tangential, but also critical sporting issues. You mentioned the NBA. We've seen quite a footprint. I mean, countries like Senegal, Egypt, Nigeria have quite a footprint. Ghana too, but not comparatively, not as high as these other countries. Recently, I saw some ads for the Super Bowl shot in Ghana, central Accra, which was very interesting. How much of a boost is all of this? I don't know how much you know about these happenings or what is going on in this, especially like the American football bit. But what do you think they add, and how can we not make them just cosmetic? It has happened once, we've monetized it, but to ensure that progressively we benefit from it.
So the NBA, as you know, has launched their only league outside of North America. They launched it several years ago, and they didn't launch it in Europe or in Asia. They launched it in Africa, and it's called the Basketball Africa League. APO is in charge, as I mentioned, of the publication of the NBA for the last 3, 4, 5 years, right? So we know, and I know exactly what they stand for and what they are doing. And the NBA Africa with the Basketball Africa League is really about empowering African athletes, empowering Africa. It's about creating a competition in Africa for Africans. Ultimately, it's about making sure African athletes can make a living, can make a livelihood on African soil. So the project is a very African project, if you will.
Africa-centric.
Yes, no, definitely. The NFL is another story. It's another story entirely. I had the opportunity to discuss with them, but more importantly, I had the opportunity to listen what people are saying. I think the approach is completely different. It is not an approach I really like, I have to say. They will have to prove that they are not here only to poach athletes.
Because there's more to the story.
Because it will be going against everything I and a lot of other people stand for. The idea that the continent is a resource when you come and you pick, like, you pick cacao and then we have to buy chocolate, and you pick oil and we have to buy gas, and you pick on our athletes and we have to watch TV in the US, etc., etc. That idea, I think it's go at the opposite sense of history, So they will have to prove that it is not cosmetic, as you mentioned, that there is a project, that it is a project which is benefiting Africa as a continent, and not just only a financial interest somewhere in the US. You see, they will have, if I understood properly, and maybe I'm wrong, by the way, but if I understood properly what is happening, their model will show its limit very soon, very fast.
Okay. So it's not the longevity of it may not necessarily be there unless there's some tweaking of that model. Maybe, like you said, it's your opinion. But before we wrap, APO has won a number of awards. Can you tell us a bit about that? And then also share with us what projects you are working on currently, what we can expect from the APO, from Nicolas, in 2024?
Well, we won last year the highest number of awards ever won by a PR agency in Africa, making us the PR agency in Africa, PR agency of the years on the African continent for the biggest, largest award, the Provoke Award. So obviously we are very proud about that. This year we have very big projects. Obviously, in 2021 we grew 40%. 2022 we grew 60%. We now have a revamped management team. We just hired a very talented chief commercial officer, very talented chief operation officer. So and we promoted someone which just became now our vice president public relations and media relations. So we are a very talented team, and the idea is to continue on our trajectory to continue to be the leading Pan-African public relations agency. We have two specificities as a company. First one is that we have two business units, press release distribution and public relations. And the second one is that we are Pan-African in everything we do. So the idea is to continue to grow and continue to serve our clients in so many different industries, as I just mentioned. We discussed a lot about sport, but in fact we have 320 clients, and 80% of them are multinational companies, so of Canon.
Tell us about some of them.
Nestle. Well, brand household names like Canon, Nestle, Western Union, they are our clients.
Oh wow!
320 is too many to mention. But
of course, I just wanted you to.
There are a few you know about, but
scrape the surface.
Yeah.
So expectations in 2024?
Even more growth, and more growth, and one of the pleasure we have, and I have in my position, is to be in charge, for instance, of the distribution of the press release of the African Development Bank. And so, as you know, the African Development Bank just published a report very recently. We had the pleasure to distribute that press release, and that report established that Africa will be the second fastest growing region in the world in 2024, right after Asia, and also that out of the 20 fastest growing economies in the world, 11 will be African countries. So I mean,
the potential is there.
We'll just serve, no problem.
Thank you so much, Nicolas.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup pour votre temps et bonne chance avec tout ce que vous faites.
Merci, c'est gentil.
All right. That is Nicolas Pompigne-Mognard. He is founder and chairman of APO Group, the leading Pan-African communications consultancy. So we're going to take a bit of a breather. We'll be right back with a lot more action right here on the AM Show. Stay.
Welcome back on the show. Apologies for that hiccup in the transmission from John Kume's house, but continuing with the show. Before we get into my final interview for today, Benjamin has already given you his proverb. It's time for me to give you mine. And here it goes. Fatriku majijinawu agbleto. Translate, the seeds of okra cannot sprout and grow past the farmer. I'll bring you the meaning later. But I'm joined in the studio by two beautiful women to have a conversation on The Big Chef. It's a children's culinary cooking competition, and you'll be amazed at the recipes that they produce. Last year, or 2 years ago, I was privileged to be part of the production team. So I saw for myself the wonderful things these children are doing in the kitchen. Michelle Ajekum is the host of the show, and Emerald is one of the contestants for this year. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Big Chef.
Good meals by kids.
I love it every time they say that. Good meals by kids. What have you been cooking this season so far?
For this season, we've been cooking the breakfast. We normally have the breakfast challenge, the love challenge, Indomie challenge, sandwich challenge, and the others.
So all these challenges, how have you been faring?
So we're actually about starting.
Okay.
So that's like the list of what
things that they've been doing.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, then tell me, how is the season going to start?
Well, so we're actually starting the first episode in the kitchen, of course, on Sunday. And like she said, that's when we're going to have the breakfast challenge.
Okay.
No, breakfast is the first meal of the day. So we decided, why not start the season with a breakfast challenge?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes. And I know that some people watching will be like, oh, in Ghana, breakfast is wache. Some even have kenke for breakfast. But you may never know what these kids would want to, present as their breakfast for Sunday. And so I'll then treat everyone watching us to make sure to tune in to Joy Prime on Sunday at 5 p.m. and then experience the breakfast recipes that these contestants will be producing.
Please, let's stay on the breakfast for a little while. Are they restricted or they can do whatever they want for breakfast?
No, there's no restriction
at
all.
Okay.
Because we are looking at your creativity and then your innovation, how innovative you can be. So even if you decide to prepare wache for breakfast, you should be able to defend why you're giving us wache for breakfast. I'm sure Emerald would want to. No, I'm sure you can be able to defend why you're giving us wache for breakfast if you should prepare wache for breakfast.
Yes, please.
What's different this year? Last year, or was it last year that Chef Fudela won? Last 2 years. So that was 2 years ago. Wow, time flies.
Really?
So I saw for myself the amazing things these children were doing in the kitchen. And then the judges, Chef Rafiatu and Chef Kofai. No, Chef Kofai. I like how he said the children call him Chef Kofai. What's different? What should we expect this year? That's the X factor.
So, in fact, this season we have leveled up.
Okay.
We've stepped up a bit, not a bit. I think 2 inches higher. So this season, we have a special episode dedicated to the father and child bonding, if you like. Yeah. A lot of times at home, we have our mothers in the kitchen. Every child you meet will tell you, I learned how to cook from my mom. This time around, we're allowing daddies come in to assist their little ones to cook. And mind you, if you do not help your child bring out the best, you may end up going home with her.
Oh, so they evict both mother and father and child. Okay.
So that's like the X factor for season 3. And also we have an episode where they'll be cooking together as a team.
Okay.
Though we have 2 teams already, we have Team Joy, Team Prime. Out of these 2 teams, we'll pair 2 contestants each to prepare the same meal. So every team is preparing the same dish.
Okay.
And you know how tricky that can be?
Yeah.
If you're going to cook the same meal, we should not have the same tastes.
So the secret is in the ingredients and the mechanism, how you're able to twist the things to make it taste different. Okay, so then this comes to the next question. I know that the children are timed to cook within a specific amount of time. Is it the same, or give me the mechanism for this show, this season's show?
So I think for breakfast, dessert, the ones that you can quickly do, they usually have 20 minutes to do that.
Okay.
And they have 5 minutes to get their ingredients. So put together 25 minutes to cook and then dish out.
But 25 minutes to pick your ingredients, cook, dish out, and serve?
Yes.
Wow. How do you feel about that? Is that enough time for you to do that? Or you like the challenge?
That makes it a challenge.
Okay.
So to be precise, it's not enough though, but we are cooking for one person. So you have to make it, like you prepare everything according to your time. You plan before you get to the kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue.
And then for, let's say a one-pot dish, like the banku and okro, maybe like our traditional meals, you're giving about 40 minutes to do that. But then you have 5 minutes to pick your ingredients, and 5 minutes to dish out, and then 40 to cook. So in all, you have 50 minutes to do that.
Okay. So it's 50 minutes in total.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. I was thinking 25 minutes. You eat things. That's why you eat things.
Oh, no, that's why I said that is for, the breakfast and dessert. Those ones are very quick to make. But you cannot prepare kenke or wache or banku within 20 minutes. Yeah. In as much as we're giving them a challenge, we're also being realistic.
Yes, because it's food. And I'll be there myself to be tasting some of the meals because, yes. What will the winner be going home with this time?
Oh, so this time around, we're giving 15,000 Ghana cedis cash prize. Last season was 10,000. This time around, we decided, look, let's just, just like I said, season 3, we've leveled up. And so we're giving the winner 15,000 Ghana cedis cash prize. Not just that, you also get some amazing products from our sponsors.
Who are some of your sponsors?
So we have Frital cooking oil, we have Fortune Rice, Indomie, Flora Tissues, Tasty Tom, Kiki Juice Drink, Makana Market, and Army 3 Lions.
All right. What are your expectations for this season? As a contestant yourself, what are you looking forward to once the season starts?
I expect the judges and everyone who is watching me to expect the best from me. Because I'm going to wow them. I'm going to give them back-to-back of my cooking skills. They should watch out for me.
And we will watch out for you. Michelle, what should audience expect from you, the host with the most?
I like that. Well, all I want you to sit and relax. All I want you to do is to sit, relax, and enjoy it, because we're not just having fun, but we're also educating you. A lot of times, someone at home may feel like, oh, but I already know how to cook. But you may never know the kind of recipes you can actually learn from them. Last season, we had someone make Indomie nuggets. She made nuggets with Indomie. I'm sure you watching at home did not think that you could do something like that. And we also have someone who prepared the chocolate sandwich, which actually won the best sandwich of the day. We realized that anywhere you go, if you want to ask, in fact, any restaurant you go to, if you are to, order for sandwich, it comes with vegetables. But someone decided, no, I think I can do with chocolates and biscuits.
So it's the creativity and the twists and turns.
That is what you should be expecting. So if last season gave you all of that, then if I am telling you that we've leveled up, then you should expect more for season 3.
Fantastic. Final words before we wrap this up. Big Chef is coming. So this is season 3, right?
Yes.
This is the 3rd time you're doing this. How many contestants in total?
So this time around, we have 12 contestants, 4 boys, 8 girls.
4 boys, 8 girls. I like that. And it's a happy International Women's Day to you both. I don't know if I've said that already, but
you have.
We're wrapping up on the conversation. Anything you want to say to those watching you?
I have something brief to tell them.
Please, go ahead.
I want to tell everyone to watch out for us, because we are going to give back-to-back, especially Team Joy. We are the best. We are going to give them back-to-back. Like, we'll kill them with our presentation and stuff. So they should watch out for us.
So we have Team Joy. What are the other teams?
Prime.
And Team Prime. Why is Team Prime? It's not fair that Team Joy is here and, lobbying for all the votes and the fans. Next time we should have Team Joy, Team Prime.
I have to come with Team Prime.
Yeah, so they can also. But all the best. I wish you the very best. And hopefully we'll see you again as the show starts and in the course of the program. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
Big Chef.
Good meals by kids.
All right. So there's still more coming up on the show. We open the phone lines for you to have your say and join the conversation. We'll be right back. Willkommen on the AM show. Tu comprends pas?
Herzlich willkommen in Deutsch. But I thought we were going to have a French session here.
Please, Benjamin, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. No.
Tu dis?
Words?
Vous dites quoi?
Vous dites quoi? S'il vous plaît?
Tu dis quelque chose.
Tu ne comprends pas?
Moi, je comprends, mais toi?
Oui.
Je demande, est-ce que tu comprends?
J'ai faim.
Hein?
J'ai la faim.
Tu l'as élu? J'ai faim.
J'ai fait. Yeah, so I was like.
So it's
J'ai fait.
F-I-E-M. F-A-I-M.
J'ai fait.
But it's pronounced faim. It's
J'ai
kind of
faim.
like C-L-E-F.
Yeah.
Key, but they only say la clef. They would say la clé.
Oh, right. Okay.
Language is a bit, especially English. Like you see L-I-E-U-T-E-N-A-N-T. And they
Lieutenant.
say, well, the Americans will say lieutenant, but those of us who stick to the British will say lieutenant. And you ask yourself, where's the F?
Right, so I gave you my proverb. I gave them my proverb today. You missed it, so I was waiting to. I was waiting. Yes, I watched it. So I was waiting to tell you and then give you the interpretation.
Okay,
so what I said is that Fetriku machinawa gbleto. Fetriku, seeds of okra. It does not sprout and outgrow or grow past the height of a farmer.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So it means that do not try to rub shoulders with your superiors. Rather, try to learn from them, emulate from them, because no matter how high you try, once the person is up there, there's so much experience and advantage he or she has over you that he could never compete. Or another one is what an old man sees sitting
down,
a child cannot see standing. Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, but there's something little I'll say. But we have Ralph on the line. Raphael is our one and only caller because after this we have to go. Ralph, good morning. Hello, Ralph.
Hi, Raphael.
Yes, I'm online. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Madam, it's like you are in the Ghana, man, so I want to limit my contribution to the problems concerning Ghana as a whole.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. My issue now is our problem in Ghana, to me, I think, is not from the politicians or the political party. Our problem in Ghana hinges on two things. And these two things are our constitution and the democracy that they are part of. I don't understand why we consider the Constitution as an oracle. Our Constitution shouldn't be an oracle. And the Constitution is, what is the Constitution? Constitution is a set of opinions and ideas by a section of the population at a particular time to run the country. It's a section of the population, a section. It means that at the time that our Constitution is being framed up, there are people in somewhere, Peshi, or Boroga, or Tamale, whose opinion could have been even better than those who we consider them as exposed people that we
okay, so for the sake of time, Raphael, you do know that our Constitution.
So in the nutshell, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, we shouldn't let the Constitution to be an oracle. Hello.
Go ahead, Ralph. We are listening.
You shouldn't let the Constitution to be an oracle. And I think every Constitution should be subject to a 4-year mandatory review, just like how we run our elections. Because the ingredients of the Constitution that the framers rely on, with time it expires.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ralph, for sharing your thoughts. We have to end it here. Yeah. 2 quick points. I disagree with him on. I agree, the Constitution must change, but to say it must change every 4 years is simply not practical. And the other point about whether the Constitution is an oracle, he said something else that I wanted to respond to. It has just escaped me.
Yeah,
but I disagree with some of his points in there.
What book is that? You're holding a book.
We're
wrapping
Machine.
up, but I want to know what book this is.
The Looting Machine. I don't want to advertise it, but I think it's a book. Well, I could. It's a book that I think every African should read. Warlords, Oligarchs, Corporations, Smugglers, and the Theft of Africa's Wealth. The Looting Machine. That's the book.
Right. So
talks about why we are where we are in Africa.
So grab a copy if you can. This is how we're wrapping up on the show today. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I did this with... I didn't want to mention your name.
Merci beaucoup pour votre temps et à la prochaine.
Oh, and I'll be at UPSA today to mark International Women's Day. Myself, Shikanik, and a host of other women, a bevy of intellectual women. Meet me there if you can. We're back on your screens on Monday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Bye.